in their lane. Here's how it works and why people feel that way. So clubs can only lose 105 million quid over 3 years, which sounds fair, but here's the kicker. Your limit includes how much you earn. So if you're one of the traditional top 6, you've got massive global revenue streams and you can spend way more while still technically following the rules. Meanwhile, ambitious clubs who've got money like Newcastle, Villa or Forest, well, they're bringing a knife to a gunfight. Newcastle might be backed by Saudi billions, but they just can't splurge the cash. Their commercial income isn't there yet. Want to buy world-class talent? Well, PSR says to them, your owner might have the money, but you're not making enough in shirt sales in Asia for that. The Magpies won their first domestic trophy since 1955, qualified for the Champions League, which you'd think would be a great springboard for them to go on and start building a team to challenge at the top. But because of PSR restraints, they couldn't break their wage structure for a new Alexander Isak contract, and look what's happened there. Nottingham Forest tried to invest to survive. They did that, but they got punished anyway. Meanwhile, clubs like Spurs, until last season, hadn't won a trophy in over 18 years, but because they rake in cash from the new stadium, they get a much bigger PSR allowance than a newly promoted club who are just trying to stay up. And let's not forget the loopholes these big boys are exploiting. Chelsea found the trick with those long contracts, selling the women's team. City are masters of related party sponsorships. Etihad this, Etisalat that, all within the rules, and fair play to them for capitalising on those opportunities. But what about the smaller clubs? They don't have that luxury. Now look, financial sustainability matters. The playing field, the current rules cement the existing hierarchy. So what's the solution? We'll either loosen the reins so ambitious clubs can spend within their means, or cap spending based on something other than revenue. Otherwise, we're just watching the same 6 teams swapping silverware most seasons while the rest play musical chairs for 7th. And that, folks, ain't what the Premier League was built on.
Very good morning to you. 4 minutes past 6 o'clock. It is Monday, September the 22nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Coisty will be with us in a moment or two, joining us from Glasgow. Tony's already been on saying, hi, lads. Only a few weeks ago, we were told by talkSPORT that Arsenal were going to win the Premier League title. Now it looks as if Liverpool will have it won again by New Year's Day. Tony, where on talkSPORT did you hear that Arsenal were going to win the title? Not on this show, pal. We told you that Liverpool would win it again this season. And by the way, the gap may be 5 points, but there is a long, long way to go. David's also been on. Morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali. Up to Sunderland. What a game. Have a look at the Trey Hume challenge. Do you think we got away with one? Yeah, probably is the answer to that. But you deserve to get away with one because the passion and the desire and the commitment of those Sunderland players was absolutely exceptional. There's no question when the Villa boss Unai Emery calls his side lazy, he is comparing and contrasting with the home team, who were just brilliant. So the home fans as well, by the way. Right, let's head off to Glasgow, shall we? Coisty, are you with us? Morning.
I'm certainly with you, my friend, and I was listening to you there quite correctly, singing the praises of Sunderland. By the way, what you didn't give a mention to, what a clever header from Xhaka, wasn't it?
It was brilliant, and it didn't get enough praise, you know? It didn't get enough praise, Coachy. It was absolutely brilliant. And I thought, I look at that Sunderland squad, and I hope Sunderland fans forgive me, I haven't heard of most of the players. But their recruitment has been brilliant, absolutely brilliant, because there were so many standout performers in that game.
Starting off with the goalkeeper as well. I mean, some of the signings have been absolutely terrific.
Yeah, the goalkeeper, I felt the goalkeeper was at fault with a goal, by the way. You're not trying to punch that, but but he's had a great season.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think he's got to save it. I think if you're trying to look at it and say, why did he make the mistake? I think it probably the ball moved slightly in the air, but he's got to save it. You're absolutely right. He has to be saving that. But I think he's done well.
Yeah, he has.
He takes equalising goal really, really well. I think they've just had a great start. And then you look at Leeds as well, Burnley picking up another point. You know, we might even be talking about two of them staying up. Three of them couldn't stay up, Jeff, could they?
Well, I think if you're a supporter of Wolves or West Ham, maybe even Brentford, then you are worried that all three of them might stay up. Yeah,
I think you're right. You have got to be concerned, particularly with the first two teams you've mentioned.
Yeah. It's maybe a bit harsh to include Brentford in there, but I watched their game against Fulham, and they do look vulnerable defensively at the moment.
Yeah. I was at Anfield on Saturday. Liverpool, again, come absolutely flying out the traps, a wee bit like they did against Atletico Madrid on the Wednesday, Jeff. They looked, and for the first 20-25 minutes, they looked unstoppable. Gravenberch, I thought, was absolutely outstanding in both games. But then, I've got to be honest, Jeff, I thought Everton knuckled down. I thought Jack Grealish was absolutely different class. And, they're probably a little bit unlucky, maybe not to get a point, but Liverpool, again, a fantastic start to the season. I still don't think, we saw flashes of them been brilliant. I don't think they've hit peak form continually yet, but I think it's ominous, the way things are looking at this moment in time.
I agree. I mean, I thought Everton were the better side for an hour of the game. Yeah. And one or two issues. Florian Wirtz has not hit the ground running for Liverpool. That's for sure so far, but they keep getting results. So look, Coisty, you were in Spain on Tuesday, Liverpool Wednesday, Newcastle Thursday, Liverpool Saturday. The big question is, what did you do with yourself on Friday?
Do you know something? I just completely chilled, hit a few golf balls and had a nice walk, mate. That's exactly what I did on Friday, and with a lovely dinner as well. So Friday was a sort of evening of relaxation, a day of relaxation, and a lovely evening. But I was up early. I was up about 5:45 on the Saturday to get down to Liverpool. But Jeff, some brilliant football last week, mate. Some fantastic football. I mean, you and I haven't really yet discussed Rashford's 2 goals. Oh my goodness. I mean, the first one's a great header. The first one doesn't really get talked about enough because the second one was
a brilliant header.
Yeah. The second one was out of this world. But equally, Jeff, there was some goals at the weekend. Yeah. I mean, I thought Gravenberch's first goal was a magnificent goal.
It was a great finish.
The technique and everything about it. What about Leeds' first 2 goals as well? You know what I mean? Sensational. Some great football at the weekend.
Yeah, there was. By the way, you mentioned Rashford. You see, he was left out of the starting lineup yesterday for Barca because he was late for training. But then he came on and got an assist. So he's doing pretty good at the moment, isn't he? Connor says, morning, Jeff. Morning, Ali. How is that Swedish team getting on? Set my alarm at 5:50.
One each.
Yeah, one each. Look, let's keep people waiting a bit. We'll give you a bit more of a debrief a bit later.
Oh, sorry, I jumped in there. I beg your pardon.
No, absolutely not.
I jumped a gun there.
Yeah.
But such is the tension, the passion. You've got me checking the results this Sunday.
Yeah. Well, let's not keep people waiting. Look, they're 8 points clear now. You're absolutely right. They drew at home to a struggling side called Osters, who equalised in the 82nd minute.
Correct,
and their only challengers are Hammarby, who won 4-0.
Yep.
So it's 8 points, 6 games remaining. Ooh. I mean, look, they really have to blow it big time. You know,
They've got to do it. They've got to do it.
Well, you'd think so, but they've never been in this situation before.
Oh, no. I'm just thinking to myself, Jeff, I think it's only right that you and I go over for the last game.
Absolutely.
We'd need to leave tomorrow, that's the only problem.
So there you are, Connor. Still top. 8 points clear, 6 games left. You can go back to bed now. So what a weekend, as we were saying, it was in the Premier League.
In towards the right, Ekatike through the legs of the goalkeeper, and he scores. Of course he does. Liverpool beat Everton at Anfield for the 5th time in a row.
West Ham 1, Crystal Palace 2, and wow, what a goal from Tyree Mitchell.
In driving rain at Turf Moor, Burnley 1, Forest 1.
It's Wolves 1, Leeds 3. Remember, Wolves were ahead early in this game, but Leeds have been running riot since then.
Brighton 2, Tottenham 2.
It is a red card and it's gone to Robert Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper. 10v10 now. Manchester United 2, Chelsea 0. It's finished at Old Trafford. Manchester United 2, Chelsea 1.
And it's a looping header, an own goal by Pinnock. Fulham 3, Brentford 1.
They finished Sunderland 1, Aston Villa 1.
Sometimes Mikel Arteta is right. The finishers have come on to change the game. Alex Crooks.
Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. What a ball. I think it was Eberici Eze picking out the run of Gabriel Martinelli. His first touch to get away from Guardiola's exquisite. His second to lift the ball over the advancing Donnarumma and into the net is absolutely sensational.
So, Coisty, look, one of my pet hates in terms of phrases is the finishers.
Yes.
But my question to you is, should the finishers for Arsenal have been the starters? Because Mikel Arteta's getting a bit of stick about his team yesterday.
I know, Jeff, but do you know something? I'm going to stick up for him, mate. I am going to stick up for him. He stick up at Liverpool, and he's an unbelievable free kick away from getting a more than acceptable point. He plays the game yesterday. Now, Arteta's getting stick. You know, he's forced Pep into a tactical change that he's never made in his life. Pep Guardiola, his team, has had the least amount of possession, I think, I read somewhere, that he's ever had as a manager. Now, they've had so much possession, Arsenal, where I think they maybe got a point of criticism. I don't think they were anything like as creative as he would have hoped, right? But he starts with Madueke, who I think's been doing really, really well, and he starts with Trossard, who comes off the bench and scores in midweek over in Bilbao. I like Marino. Declan Rice is definitely going to play. I don't have a plot. So I think we're maybe talking about one position, and is that for Eze or Saka? So can he get a bit of criticism? He always will, because that goes with the territory. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon anything like it. I think he's put out an excellent side who have dominated possession of the ball, dominated the game, and in my opinion, get a well-deserved equaliser.
Yeah, and they did dominate possession, but that lack of creativity, you've got a midfield in there with all due respect, all good players, Rice, Marino, Zubimendi. It is not the most creative, and yet you have got a squad which is bursting at the seams with creative players.
Well, I think, unless you're changing the front three, which we can discuss that till the cows come home, because I don't think he's wrong at all, starting with Madueke and Trossard, right? He could have started with Saka, but it looks of things, and he could have started with Martinelli. But I think we're probably in agreement. I'm not saying it's like for like, but it's not a massive.
No.
It's not a criminal injustice that he started with those two wide boys. He's going to start with centre forward, where we can have a discussion. Does he start Eze in the middle of the park instead of either one of the three you mentioned? He's certainly not going to start before Rice. So we're talking about two players here, Marino and Zubimendi. So you're either bringing, what are you doing? Are you bringing Eze in for one of them? That's what we're discussing here, yeah. I think. Yeah. I do totally take your point. I thought they lacked a little bit of a good bit of creativity. I don't think they created a lot of chances. But boy, have you ever seen Manchester City play that way under Pep? Never. You ever seen any of Pep's team play that way, really, Jeff?
Which may be, and it's sort of gone under the radar, maybe is a bit of a condemnation of how thin City's squad is at the moment as well. And if you looked, because I looked at the options, when he took Haaland off, which I think shocked everybody, and we'll talk about that no doubt later on as well. But when he took Haaland off, I looked at the options that he had on the bench, and in an attacking sense, pretty much nothing, Savinho was the only real attacker that he could put on. So, an element... Look, it's a much better point for City than it was for Arsenal, regardless of the circumstances. It's a much better point for City. But if you look at the squad, I think it's too thin for them to sustain a title challenge. But look,
it was certainly found wanting. I tell you the bizarre thing, Jeff. You could argue that in taking off Haaland, at that point, he took off one of his best defenders.
Yeah.
Do you know?
But look, I was going to mention this later, but did you see the TV interview where Pep said Haaland asked to come off? Said he was exhausted and he asked to come off. Well, I would have said to him in that stage, well, look here, son, you play the last 15 minutes. You can have all of next week off because we've got a League Cup game in midweek. Back for Burnley at the weekend. But you get yourself out there, stay where you are. Because he was occupying too. He was brilliant. He's brilliant. I mean, his goal was majestic.
Goal was out of this world.
So I think, you're occupying. Can you imagine the Gabriel and Saliba when they saw Haaland's number come up? They must have been punching the air like they'd scored.
They're absolutely thrilled. I mean, there was a ball in the first half as well, Jeff, where I think eventually Eze came across, but Haaland just battered right into Saliba. It just bullied him. It's just a long ball, right up over the top. He used his pace, used his aggression. Eze came round the side, and away they went. And I thought to myself, those it doesn't happen an awful lot to those two. I saw Isak do a couple of League Cup games for Newcastle last year, but that doesn't happen to those two. And you make a great point. When they see his board coming up, mate, they're ecstatic.
Oh, absolutely. 03717 22 344. We'd love to hear from you this morning. Do give us a call. Coming up, we'll turn our attentions to the back pages and the pressure building on Graham Potter.
fans giving him a lot of stick for it, and a lot of stick for his the way his team played at Anfield. Listen, he's playing the two best teams, he thinks, I would imagine, in the league that are going to be his serious challengers. He's very unlucky at Anfield not to get anything. It's an absolute wonder goal that beat them. And I'm looking at the team yesterday, and I think we're actually having a big discussion about one position and one player. Okay, yeah, he might have started with Eza, and it might have been a different setup. I think that the level of criticism is miles over the top.
Yeah, I mean, just two quick things. I think, Olivia, it's sort of disingenuous of him to compare an away game in Europe with the home game against Manchester City in the Premier League, a game you probably do need to win. But one thing I would say is that he does deserve some credit as well for changing as he did at half-time.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Carragher said on Sky that, it feels like they wasted 45 minutes. And I tend to agree with him, because when he made those substitutions of bringing Eze and Saka on, it had a massive impact. Yeah. We saw what happened, and the possession that they had, Gianluigi Donnarumma had to make a couple of really big saves, and it just felt like... And I wonder if... Ali, I know you're saying that, you don't have any issues with that midfield that he picked, but... Do you think that Arsenal fans in the big games have a right to feel a little bit frustrated when you look at both the teams and how they've set up? They probably looked at that and thought City are there for the taking, but they didn't take their opportunity.
Right. How did City get their goal? Right. Here's a question for the two of you. How did City get their goal? It was the perfect act of counter-attack. Something that you very, very rarely, if ever, see City doing, because they generally have the vast possession of the football. Right? So, if you put Eze in there, another attacking midfielder, you leave yourself more open to a counter-attack. So if he played Eze, the flip side of the coin, you might have been 2-0 down.
Yeah.
Do you take that risk if you're Mikel Arteta?
You're the home side. The onus is on you, I'll tell you what, by the way, if people think Mikel Arteta is getting some stick, and if he wakes up this morning and feels he's getting some flack, imagine what it would have been like if Martinelli hadn't scored in the last minute. By now, he would be absolutely the villain of the piece, no question.
And it's probably worth mentioning as well, sorry, Jeff, Olivia, what a finish.
Oh, it's a great finish.
What a brilliant goal.
It was a great ball as well from Eze.
Absolutely, a tremendous
pass.
That's
the Eze who didn't start.
Correct, and it's probably the Eze in the middle three that's, I wouldn't say he's the only one capable of making that pass, but he's certainly capable of making it more often than anybody else ever thought.
Yeah, it was an absolutely brilliant goal by Gabriel Martinelli. It's the second time. He did it against Bilbao, came off the bench to score. And like you say, it was a beautiful... it's a beautiful move, but the run was inch perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And even Gianluigi Donnarumma, who had a brilliant game, couldn't do anything about it. So that's Arsenal. And also, Arsenal are on the back page of The Sun as well. Nelly the Elegant. I love that. But I want to talk about still the back page of The Times. A former Arsenal manager, actually, Ali, in Unai Emery, it came out and said, my players are lazy. And it feels like that this is the first time I've actually heard him go in on his players. I feel like, Aston Villa have had a pretty poor start to the season by their own standards. But for him to come out and say what he did, was it justified? He's come out and questioned their attitude as well. How will the players be feeling hearing that from their own manager?
Well, not good. And there's nobody better placed to comment on them than him. That's the first thing I'd say. I don't know. They don't look lazy to me, but he's seen them every day and he's watched them every day. But we've spoke about it before, Jeff, recently. All doesn't look well in that camp, right? And it goes back to when, who was it? Was it Ramsey that went to Newcastle?
Yeah, Ramsey. Yeah.
And you could tell from within the camp, three or four of the players coming out on social media and saying their bits and pieces. And I thought, aye, you can just feel that everything is not hunky-dory in the Aston Villa camp. And it looks that way. And the results would suggest it's that's happening. So the Unai Emery, who I think we're all in agreement is a brilliant coach, he's spot on in his assessment of his team's opposition and players, has felt the need to openly criticise them. What happens next will be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it will. And again, it's what we said, he must have been comparing and contrasting with Sunderland because they were just at it You know, the 10 men just at it. And Villa, they just weren't. And it's been...
What do you think of that sending off, Jeff?
Yeah, I thought it was right. I mean, I thought it was a daft thing
he swung out.
Yeah, I mean, you know, basically he put his foot in the Villa's players' unmentionables, you know?
Yeah.
And you just can't do... I mean, you just can't do it, you know, but the response from Sunderland was great and the response from Villa wasn't that great.
I think that's fair.
Thanks, Olivia.
welcome.
And that
Thanks,
was a look
Olivia.
at today's back pages with Tesco Mobile for Business. Liam has texted, "Morning all. My in-laws are all West Ham season ticket holders. They've said it's the worst team they've ever seen. They've all said it's been going downhill since the stadium move. No passion, no atmosphere, lack of ambition on the pitch. Their fans are all just exhausted and they have had enough. I'm exhausted too," he says, "as I'm a Norwich fan and we're awful as well. Lost at home to Wrexham at the weekend. Real upset that." Coming up, we'll ask the question, are fans too impatient with their managers? We talked about West Ham a moment or two ago. Big question marks over Graham Potter. And Rangers fans have been protesting about Russell Martin at the weekend, while the sackings have already started in the EFL. We'll discuss that next.
The Back Page Review on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Got a side hustle baking bread? Improve your take-home dough with business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big three networks. For verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
It's not often you associate fan power with Chelsea Football Club, but one of the shining examples of it lies with a group called the Chelsea Pitch Owners. And they've proved to be the thorn in the side of owners past and present who've been dead set on moving stadiums to a larger, more lucrative piece of land. Essentially, the supporters group holds the freehold to the land on which Stamford Bridge sits. Former owner Ken Bates set it up at a time where some unruly property developers tried to evict the club from their ground. In order to prevent this, he established the CPO as a company that owned the pitch and offered the fans the chance to buy a share for £100. As well as that, they also own the rights to the name Chelsea Football Club, so if any owner wants to take them elsewhere, they can't be called Chelsea without the approval from the CPO. Now, in 2011, Roman Abramovich tried and failed to move them away from Stamford Bridge, and this has set a precedent for Todd Bowley and the current power brokers at Chelsea. They know any plan which involves moving from Stamford Bridge will require CPO approval from the now 13,000 fans who own it. There are fans who are concerned that if they stay at the bridge, they'll be left behind their domestic and European rivals who are moving to more commercially successful stadiums. But for the heritage and history lovers, Stamford Bridge is one of the iconic English stadiums, and to move away would be a grave mistake. It might not be as flashy as others, but stadiums like it have something about them that cannot be replaced. One thing's for sure, if Bowley wants to take Chelsea away from their home, he'll have to go through the CPO first.
Good morning. It is 6:34, Monday, September the 22nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Get £750 off any used car or home charger. I'm Jeff Stelling. Ally McCoist is with us. George says, morning, fellas, not the best weekend for me being a Chelsea fan. However, Jeff, I need my Swedish football fix this morning. George, where were you a few minutes ago? We discussed Mjolby's 1-1 home draw. 8 points clear, pal, with 6 games to go. We're going to set up the London branch. Actually, no, the UK branch of the Mjolby Supporters Club. And let's see if we can get ourselves out there as they play their last home game to celebrate the title.
Brilliant.
How good would that be? And now, the question everybody seems to be asking recently is about managers and why they seem to be getting less and less time. Gone are the days where a manager will be given a few seasons to implement their systems before they're judged. Nowadays, they're given months to deliver at best before their heads are being called for. So let's ask the question, as fans, are we being too impatient with managers? I mean, take a look at West Ham. Things looking bleak at the London Stadium with Graham Potter under serious threat of losing his job. Is 25 games in all competitions enough? He has been there since January the 9th, so that's 9 months plus. Is that enough? West Ham's vice chair, Karen Brady, joined talkSPORT last month after their opening day defeat to Sunderland and said the club would give Potter time because that's what they do. Let's remind ourselves.
Graham is a forward-thinking manager. He's sort of calm under pressure. He's very detailed in his approach. He's a great manager of players. He builds a special relationship with players and they understand where he's coming from. And he has a modern mindset. And all of those things mean that it does take some time to put a team together, to get the team playing the way that you want. I mean, West Ham is not a club that panics about its managers. We tend to support people, stick with them and see it through. I really hope he does well. He's a pleasure to work with. He's incredibly professional. And I know the players respect him.
How long do you give a manager, Coisty? There are two ways of looking at that. Is 25 games enough? Is 9 months? But is 9 months in any form of employment? If after 9 months you've shown that, and I'm not saying this is the case with Graham Potter, but if 9 months you've shown you're struggling to do the job, would you keep that job?
Well, it's incomparable, Jeff, because you've got to take so many things into consideration here. And there's not too many jobs I know where you get a transfer window, for example, an opportunity to improve your job. With the people around you. So I think it's incomparable. And I definitely think managers and coaches should be allowed a minimum of 2 windows, I think. I mean, yes, you can go into a squad that has been struggling and improve it. Of course you can. You can maybe get a different kind of tune out of 1 or 2 of the players. Yes. But I'm thinking it's only fair, surely, to be judged when you can get certainly a few of your own players in. And I don't think you get opportunity to do that, certainly with most clubs, the vast majority of clubs, in one window.
So how do you think Rangers fans would feel about Russell Martin being given another window and then presumably time afterwards to show that his players are doing the business?
They want rid of him, but listen, the one thing I would say, the big, and this is not me sticking up for Russell Martin at all, the recruitment at Rangers has been shocking before Russell Martin arrived. It certainly doesn't look as though it's improved any. But the recruitment for the last, I don't know, 2-3 seasons, maybe even longer, has been really, really poor. So maybe that problem is going further than the manager. Well, it is going further than the manager. It's going to the recruitment department, which has been shocking, hasn't been doing its job. But I get it. The buck stops at the manager. And it looks as though the protests, if you're talking about Ibrox and Saturday, Jeff, were obviously, were there. Everybody could see it, whether it was before the game, the incident with the balls coming on the pitch and all that stuff during the game. The one thing that there's two things that will beat a manager and a coach, right, Jeff? The first thing is, obviously, results. That's where you won't have a leg to stand on. Secondly, if the fans turn against you and there's no way back. I think these are the two things where there's no way back for a manager. First and foremost, results, and if the fans turn against you. But I just think, generally speaking, coaches and managers don't get long enough.
No, and I accept that. And I think the point you make about Russell Martin, you can make exactly the same point about Graham Potter, because he's been dealt a pretty bad hand in terms of options available. If you looked at West Ham's bench at the weekend, it was a shocker. Who does he put on when things are going wrong? But you made the point there, Ali. When the fans turn against Russell Martin, for instance, the fans turn against Graham Potter, whose substitutions were booed. I mean, that's time up, really, isn't it? Regardless of how many windows you've had.
Well, it's extremely difficult to find a way back. Yes, I take it. It's just about time up for any manager that loses the vast majority of the fan base. Yeah, I agree with you. It's near impossible to turn that around.
I mean, so we talk about time, and look, it's not a new thing. We go back to Brian Clough's 44 days at Leeds, for example. And I'll give you more examples recently. Frank de Boer at Crystal Palace got 5 games, 450 minutes. 4 of those were league games. Eric Ten Hag got 2 league games at Leverkusen. Ruben Sellers got 5 league games at Sheffield United. But sometimes as a fan, Coisty, don't you just know when something's a bad fit? Sometimes instinctively, a handful of games in, you can know this isn't going to work.
Oh, absolutely, Jeff. And the fans' train of thought will understandably be, and it's a lovely way to put it, Jeff, if you jump on the wrong train, mate, the best place to go off is the first stop, right? And I get that, which is backing up the theory of get rid of them as soon as possible if it's not right. You know what I mean? If you jump on the wrong train, where'd you go off? You go for the first stop as soon as possible. So that'll be in the thoughts and the ideas of a lot of fans. And, in many ways, it's difficult to argue with that. But you've got to take, there's a lot of questions needing answered before you make that decision, right? For example, Graham Potter loses his job. Hypothetically, tomorrow morning to lose his job, you've got to have somebody to come in that you're very confident can do a better job. Now, the West Ham fans will come up and say, I could do a better job. When I say I mean them themselves. West Ham fans will say, we could do a better job. Right? They'll come out and say that. But the fact of the matter is, you have got to have somebody. The interesting thing is, Jeff, you would ask West Ham fans, and it's an easy question to ask them right now, but they're better off with Davy Moyes. I would suggest a lot of them, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them would say, we maybe got that one wrong. It's maybe, be careful for what you ask for. So I think it's easy to say get rid of the manager, and in some cases you have to do that. Of course you do, because of results, because of performances, or because of their work in their case, or whatever it may be. But I'm still of the opinion that in a lot of cases they should be given more time.
I mean, it's an interesting contrast, isn't it? When you look at Wolves, who haven't got a point this season, who this weekend gave Vitor Pereira a new 3-year deal. I mean, it's chalk and cheese. You could not have a different approach. Well, what did you make of that? The fact that, I mean, again, he's somebody who's been dealt a pretty awful hand in the transfer window by the looks of it.
Correct. That Aït-Nouri, Cunha, you look at the players that Wolves have lost. And it'd be great to get a few Wolves supporters on and have a chat with them about it, Jeff. I'd really like to hear from them, to hear what they think of it. It's all right, very well, me giving my opinion. I'm not sitting there watching Wolves, twice a week at home and away and watching their football. But from the outside looking in, it's certainly a vote of confidence they've given him. Whether he deserves it or not, the Wolves fans would know better than I would. But the one thing that we can't argue is the fact that you've mentioned he's been stripped of some talent in his team and he hasn't been allowed to replace them.
Yeah. You and I are of the generation, by the way. We will remember how tough a start it was for Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United.
Correct.
And Manchester United were patient. They stuck with him. I'm not suggesting this is going to happen to Wolves, but look at what happened in the years to come. There's a lot to like about the fact that Pereira's being offered a new deal, although Wolves fans will point out that Gary O'Neill was given a 4-year deal 6 months before the club sacked him. If you think it's better, by the way, in the EFL, you'd be very wrong. Mike Flynn, the Cheltenham manager, he was sacked this weekend. They are 1 point off safety at the moment. And Kelvin Davis in the National League at Eastleigh, he got longer. We preempted this by saying a couple of weeks ago that he'd been sacked.
Right.
Sadly now he has been sacked. But just putting my supporters hat on, I do think that harsh as it is at times that we see managers have not had enough time, as a fan, sometimes you just know this is not going to work. Who'd be a football manager, Coisty? Well, you were.
No, but you make a great point. You do. I mean, the fans will always see. There's a lot of for example, the Rangers fans with Russell, there's a lot of them clearly didn't want the appointment. He said that himself. But there was an awful lot of them prepared to say, right, okay, let's sit back and see how it goes. Right, and it clearly, at this moment in time, I know the good victory at the weekend. I thought a little bit, it was a good 2-0 victory. A little bit fortunate, got a goal disallowed, Hibs were, but that's the way it goes. Rangers were more than unlucky the week before with a couple of decisions. Sometimes they go for you, sometimes they don't. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the fans were willing to sit back and say, right, come on, let's give them our support and we'll see how we got on. Yeah. So, yeah, I do think you make a good point regarding fans, and they kind of smell it, don't they? Know their club, don't they?
They do. Look, football management, it is, and it always has been, a job with jeopardy with a capital J. Now, still to come on breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Download the new improved app to easily manage your accounts and quotes.
Arsenal fans, listen up. The floor is yours. 03717 223344 is the number to ring. We want to hear from you. And Manchester City fans as well. What did you make of Pep's style, being accused of parking the bus at the weekend? So, who got it right? Who got it wrong? Ali says the reaction about Arteta has been over the top. Do you agree? And that was our look ahead with Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Get free next day track delivery. Head to travisperkins.co.uk or download the app.
Good morning, 6:52, Monday, September the 22nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with me, Jeff Stelling and Ally McCoist. You might have heard text from Andy and Rayleigh talking about the importance of Arsenal's game coming up with Port Vale. Craig in Windsor said, so Andy's trying to be funny, huh? Let's see at the end of the season, shall we? And then we'll have that conversation again. Yeah, take your point completely about that. Kieran's a Sheffield United fan. We were talking about managers. So we knew after 2 games it wasn't going to work with Ruben Sellers. Yeah. He lost the fans almost immediately. You know very quickly if the face doesn't fit. Well, the face seemingly fits at Wolves, with Vitor Pereira getting a new 3-year contract despite becoming only the 6th team to lose their first 5 games of a Premier League season after their 3-1 home defeat against Leeds on Saturday. So that came just after the manager had signed a new contract. He was asked just how tough things are right now.
I understand the feelings because, you know, if you ask me, I know that we can change everything with a good result to give us confidence, to be as the tranquility to play in our level. I'm sure that we can do it together and with the supporters. In this moment, I understand the supporters because they are as frustrated as I am. I understand. I'm frustrated because I want to see them smiling in the end of a game and celebrating with the team. And for sure, we'll do it again.
Up next for Pereira, Everton at Molineux in the Carabao Cup, and then a trip to Tottenham on Saturday. Right, let's get more on the mess at Wolves with the presenter and founder of the Always Wolves podcast, Dazzling Dave. Dave, good morning to you.
Morning, Dave.
Good morning, gentlemen. A pleasure to join you this morning. Thanks for asking me on.
And you too, mate. Look, I'm going to dispense with the formalities and just call you Dave, if that's okay.
Absolutely perfect.
Well, tell me about how surprised were you to hear that Wolves had offered Pereira a new 3-year deal, and what do you think of it?
Pereira, I mean, it's been mooted for a while that he was. They were looking at a new contract for Vitor Pereira, and but I think when you've lost the opening 4 games of a season, you haven't won in the league since April. You haven't won any of your pre-season matches. You've only had 1 victory in, which was over West Ham, who haven't been having a great season either. I think it's a bit jumping the gun. Personally, most of the supporters really like Vitor Pereira. He came in when we were in a real bad position. He won 6 games in a row. He got us out of the mire. But giving a manager a 3-year contract when we haven't won since April, it seems a bit jumping the gun, to be honest, and most of the fans are a little bit bemused by that. It's almost Groundhog Day because we did this with Gary O'Neill. He had a 4-year contract and a terrible start, and it's like we're in this perpetual loop year after year. It's like we're living the same season over and over again.
Dave, see, looking at it, mate, I mean, I take no pleasure in saying it, but we always do our predictions, as you know. You probably do it yourselves, your mates, at the start of the season and all that kind of stuff. And the amount of people, myself included, that kind of predicted Wolves would struggle. First of all, due to the fact I think that they lost some excellent players and haven't really replaced them. Is it a surprise, the start you've had, mate?
No. If you lose sort of like 2/3 of your goals and goal contributions with Matheus Cunha and Ryan Ait-Nouri, and then there's loads of speculation as well. Obviously, there was about Jurgen Strand-Larsen. You lose that much creativity. And don't forget, we didn't just lose Cunha and Ryan Ait-Nouri. We lost Pablo Sarabia, first team player, our captain Nelson Semedo, who was offered a new 4-year deal and a really good contract. He didn't want to take part in the project. You've lost 4 senior players out of that team, and then there's others that have gone as well. And they've brought in a lot of players that are totally unproven. And when you change so much within the team, it's clear that there's a problem. If you do not move forward in the Premier League or you don't just stand still, you go backwards.
Yeah.
And we've done that for the last 4 years.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that the problems at Wolves mean that Jurgen Strand-Larsen's been elevated to superstar status pretty quickly. He's only ever scored 14 goals for you, but you really are hanging your hat on him, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, and he's not been fit either. He did come on at the weekend. We've got the new guy, Tulu, that has come in. He's not fully fit here, but he's looked decent. Ladislav Kretsky, who we bought, he looks a real player. But the crazy thing is, he's a £30 million defender, and he plays him in midfield when we're struggling, we're conceding goals. And Andre, who's a really, really great Brazilian footballer, there's something gone on between him and the manager there that he's not starting. And in the middle, and Vitor Pereira, by his own admission, has said that he doesn't really know what his best team is. He really needs to find that best team very, very quickly, or the Wolves fans have never been concerned. And to be honest, the Wolves fans are not happy with the chairman or the ownership, because it's been the last 4 years, it's just been a steady decline. And you guys know, you've seen it with many, many clubs. If you skate around that drain long enough, sooner or later you're going to get sucked back into the Championship. And we worked really hard after being nowhere for so many years to get into the Premier League under Nuno, and then to go back again. We really, I've never been so. I'm a half glass full, and I've never been so worried that we're going to go down this year.
Dave, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Dave. All the best.
Thanks, boys. Cheers.
The problems facing Wolves. Just a very quick test show on talkSPORT. Thanks, Kev. Arsenal, the only team that have pushed for the past few years, yet Arteta gets grief. He was a rookie, no experience, should get 3 seasons as a gimme. So only the last 2 seasons can be judged. Very much an Arteta in man. But Monroe says, morning, great show. I swear Arteta wears a life jacket in the bath. The man has no risk in him. And by the way, Jill, who's a regular contributor to the show, has texted as well. Morning to you, Jill. She's a Manchester United fan. She was at the Man United game at the weekend, so she saw them win. And then she went to see Lewis Capaldi in the evening. Now, that's a weekend, Jill. Glad you're doing well. Really good to hear. It is 6:59. Coming up, content creator, Arsenal superfan Joel Bayer joins us as we turn our attention to Gyökeres and his performance yesterday.
did it all come crashing down for Wales so suddenly? In his first tenure in charge, Warren Gatland built a dynasty, taking young guns and turning them into giants, not just for Wales, but for the Lions as well. 4 Six Nations titles, 3 of them Grand Slams, and in 2019, a world #1 ranking. But then, a record drop-off, golden generation all but gone, a first wooden spoon for 21 years and 14 losses on the bounce. Why? Perhaps the main reason was poor spending. During Gatland's first tenure, the WRU committed its funds to world-leading training facilities for the national side, but underinvested in the club scene. Despite Ireland raking in similar overall revenues, its union would be committing up to £30 million a year more than Wales to their provincial clubs. In 2023, a report found the WRU had flitted away an £84 million TV deal on the purchase of a Cardiff hotel and a zip wire above the Principality. At the same time, the regional budgets and salary caps were being slashed, and they're still being cut. Add this to a distinct lack of player pathways when compared to the private school-fueled setups in Ireland, Scotland and England, the continuous rise of football's popularity and generational talents going elsewhere. It all meant when Abby Tierney became CEO, having never worked in sport before, she had a mountain to climb. And yet the beauty of sport, of course, is it isn't played in the boardroom, and sometimes it takes surprisingly little for the narrative to shift almost overnight. When Gatland left for the second time, interim coach Matt Sherratt only had 3 training sessions before Wales' next game, but the team looked unrecognisable, and all he did was pick players in the right positions and provide a bit of attacking structure. Suddenly, Wales were back pushing Ireland to the wire. As Gatland's first tenure taught us, for Wales' success to be sustainable, once the books are balanced, the regions need more money, salary caps need boosting, player pathways need investment. But it doesn't have to mean Wales lose every game in the meantime.
Good morning, 6 minutes past 7 o'clock. It's a Monday morning. It's September the 22nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with us in Glasgow, and we start this hour at the Emirates, where it ended even between Arsenal and Manchester City. Gabriel Martinelli lobbing Donnarumma in added time to save a point. Meanwhile, speaking to talkSPORT's Alex Crook, Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta praised the efforts of striker Victor Gyökeres.
He did a lot of good things. I think he was very unfortunate in your situation just in front of goal, and the ball doesn't hit him for millimeters. But I think he had a very strong performance today.
It's fair to say that baffled former Watford captain Troy Deeney, who joined Majestic on the final word phone-in.
I understand the manager has to give the striker confidence, but he just described Gyökeres as having a strong performance today. What? You know when Ten Hag was at Man United and he used to just lie to us that good performance? Like we watched the game, we've seen it. Again, as an ex-striker, I'm always going to look towards what the strikers do. How can you say he had a strong performance?
Joining us in the studio to discuss that and all things Arsenal, presenter, content creator, a huge Arsenal fan, Joel Bayer. Morning, Joel.
Morning, Joel.
Morning. How you doing, guys? You okay?
Yeah,
brilliant. Mate,
look,
brilliant.
we have to start with that, really, the Victor Gyökeres stuff. I mean, I think Troy's a bit harsh to say he never scores in the big games. He hasn't had many big games, has he, to prove himself? You can't help, though, in a game like that, can you, but to compare and contrast Haaland with Gyökeres, unfair as it may be.
I mean, to start off with Troy, I'm with Troy for once, like, I don't say that often, but I think he's spot on. And he's right. Victor does need to be doing it in the big games. Essentially, that's why we bought him. People will say, oh, no, it's for the smaller teams. No, it's for these games. This is why you buy the Gyökereses or the Eze's, to unlock these, to get us over the line. And I do think he's right. I think Mikel's probably, his head's frazzled and he's, saying whatever he needs to say to keep the spirits up. And no, I don't think he had a great game, if I'm honest with you. And you're right, when you look at Haaland, who is an absolute sensational beast, and you look at Victor, I know who I would rather have in the team, but there you go,
It's funny, Joe, looking at it, because naturally, as Jeff says, because of the way they are, the way the two strikers are, we probably unfairly at this stage do make comparisons. The one thing I would say, I think you're spot on. I think Troy's got it right. The one thing Mikel Arteta is doing, he's been asked about his centre forward. He is never at this stage going to criticise him. He's probably went a little bit too far the other way, but you can understand it, no?
Yeah, no, because he doesn't want to kill his confidence and he doesn't need anybody on his back at the moment. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, I'll be honest with you, Ali, I looked at him and I thought, you're always going to get the goals against the Leedses, the Nottingham Foresters, all respect to them. But these are the games, isn't it? When you're playing against Diaz, when you're playing against, like the top centre-backs, that's where we want to see you. And it's funny because I've spoken to a few players, ex-pros, and they look and they go, oh, he might struggle in the big games. And not even Troy. Not only has Troy said it, but I've spoken to a few people, and so far they're right.
Adams texted and said, look, Victor didn't have a good game. He had no service at all. And that was down to Arteta playing with the handbrake on, which brings us round to the other big talking point, Joe, and that was the team selection. How surprised were you by what Mikel started with?
Not only surprised, I was startled, if I'm honest with you, because I didn't expect to see Trossard start. I did not expect to see Eze on the bench, especially because Odegaard's out. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ali, but this is the opportunity to take advantage and use Eze for his creativeness, right?
Well, do you know the one thing I would say? I'll ask you, Joe, interesting enough, I've watched Arsenal a couple of times this season, excuse me, and I was over in Bilbao. And Eze started on the left-hand side. Now, I'd be a little bit concerned about him out there, mate, right? So I think his wide men will obviously be between, whether it's Trossard, Martinelli and Saka. I think you've got to get Eze in the pitch, whether it's in the three, behind the front three, or in a more central role as a 10 or whatever it may be. Me personally, I don't think you're going to get the benefit from Eze out in a wide position, particularly in the left-hand side. So I think if Arteta is going to play him, and I think he will, I think he's got to play him in a more central position. And he probably, hindsight's the greatest thing in the world. He probably should have started, yes.
I have to disagree with you to a certain extent with that, Ali, because yes, I agree his best work is within the central areas. We all know that. We've all seen it. But look at him against Nottingham Forest. Look at the assist that he gave Victor Gyökeres against Forest. That came from the left-hand side. Brilliant ball inside. All Victor had to do was tap it in. The crime there was to not start him at all. When I saw Trossard start, I thought, come on. We all know Trossard's a better impact player. Of course, people say, oh, that's Martinelli's job. We've only just discovered that. We all know that Trossard is better coming off the bench. And this is why we've bought him. We've spent 60-odd million on him for the big games, not to have him on the bench. I thought Madueke had a good half. He was probably the only one that could hold his head up high. But I just reckon Eze should have started, whether it be in the middle, primary position, or on the left.
Yeah. Jake's texted and said, Eze has to play in the middle. But look, it begs the question is, where does that leave Martin Odegaard when he is fit? It's a difficult situation, I think that is for for sure.
But that's the whole point. This is why you have big squads.
Yeah.
You don't see Chelsea complaining about that or Man City when they're on song. You have to bring in the competition. And when these players have been brought in to get us over the line, and I kind of think that we're there admiring the bench, going, this is a beautiful bench. But the reality is those players should have been playing.
Yeah.
See the beauty of it, guys. The beauty of it is this, right? See, when you're a club like Liverpool, Arsenal, City, you absolutely must have 18, 19, 20 players if you're going to compete in every competition at the top level. But it opens the discussion. I mean, for example, look at Liverpool, Jeff, and Joe at the weekend. They don't start Isak.
Yeah.
In the Wednesday night, they're leaving a World Cup winner on the bench. These are all brilliant talking points for us and fans.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. The fact that you've got players that are performing and you can sit down Isak, it means that even though he's been bought for a record number, he knows that he has to work hard to break into the team.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference is obviously that Liverpool have got 5 points more than Arsenal now,
there you go.
which is a concern at the moment, isn't it? And bear that in mind, that Arsenal's next league game is away at Newcastle. Are we already in, I was going to say must win, but daren't lose at St James's Park?
Look, you don't want to go up to St James's Park and lose at this point of the season, no. But I have to say, I've been looking at the fixture list, and I have seen that we have a harder start than Liverpool, whereas their last 6 games, is much more difficult. So I guess we just have to really power through. It's really difficult to completely, side with the league table at this point because Man City have the same points as Manchester United. Teams
Joe,
on. Is that
Joe, your first 6 games, mate? Your first 6 games, you're going to have played Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, and Newcastle.
Exactly.
So I think everybody needs to calm down a wee bit here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the 5-point gap already. Because I don't see us as a team that's really good. I've never seen us come from behind and chase teams down, and even during our bestest of times. So. That is a little bit of a concern. But at the same time, I remember a couple seasons ago when Jamie O'Hara was getting excited because Spurs were doing well in November, and we all know how that ended, So I reckon it's still time to calm down and put the handbrakes on like Mikel did on Sunday.
Spoken like a true gooner. Got to get the dig at Tottenham in while you've got the chance. Joel, thanks very much, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Nice to see you again.
Bye-bye.
It is 7:15 exactly. Coming up, early breakfast host Olivia Bazaglia will join us again. She's not happy with Manchester United fans. Find out why next. morning. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with us in Glasgow. And John, the Bradford City fan, has texted. He said, I messaged last week on holiday from Crete. I'm still there. And my team are now top of League One after outplaying Cardiff at the weekend. For the first time in years, they are a joy to watch. Yeah, Bradford won by 3-1. But the big question to ask there, John, is you're on holiday in Crete. What the heck are you doing out of bed and texting at 7:15 on a Monday morning? Goodness me, relax, pal. Relax.
I'm guessing, Jeff, it's got to be 9:15 there. I can let him off a wee bit, surely.
I'm sure he's not. It can't be 2 hours difference.
Oh, certainly be one, no?
Maybe
Crete.
One.
Crete.
John,
John,
you're out of bed now. John,
tell us
text us what time it is, will you, please, mate? Now, the latest episode of the 21 Minutes to Go podcast with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy is out now. It's all the usual nonsense, of course, including pet monkeys, the meaning of life, and we asked what would happen if Cundy could time travel.
If we travel back in time 500 years, how would you prove you're from the future? Now, that is an unbelievable...
And I can't take anything with me. So I've got to go back naked?
No, you take your outfit. T-shirt, jeans.
That would tell. Come from the future. Where'd you get them from? How would you explain to them?
I reckon denim was about back then.
Yeah, denim was, mate.
Right.
I would then go back in history and come up with some events, right, that are going to happen in that year. And I'm going to say to them, I'll be a witch then, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I'll be predicting the future.
Yeah.
I'll get killed. I'll get stoned.
Yeah, burnt at the stake, I think. Not everyone would think that was such a bad idea, to be honest, would they? Time travel, Coisty, you thought about that at all?
Well, no, not an awful lot, but I would suggest that the two of them are stuck in the 70s somewhere, actually, those two. Yeah. Particularly the way they dress.
Yeah, people could say that about us, mind you, mate. Be very careful. Be very careful. You know, if I could time travel, I'd just go back to about 11 o'clock last night when I was going to bed, you know, just...
Here's a question for you then.
Yeah.
Here's a brilliant question for you, Jeff, right? If you could time travel, right, what sporting event would you go back to see again?
It's not even a difficult question. Not even a difficult question. No? It's Hartlepool winning the National League playoffs to get promotion back into the Football League, where we robbed Torquay United something rotten. But hey, so that would be it for me. Have you got one off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head,
have a think about it.
I will do.
Have a think about it.
Let me have a think about it, mate.
Yeah. Right, Olivia's back with us. She's worried we're going to ask her about time travelling, aren't you? I know that. It's the way the show goes. Yeah. So what have you got, Olivia?
Right, this is it's a rather controversial thing that happened last night after... No, it wasn't last night. It had been on Saturday evening after Manchester United beat Chelsea 2-1. Amad Diallo posted a picture of him and Alejandro Garnacho in the tunnel after the game, both swapping shirts. And the Manchester United fans have lost their minds at this, made Amad delete all evidence of it. So it got deleted from his Instagram completely. And I do not see the problem with Amad Diallo posting this. But we've been having a debate in the office and it's very split down the middle. I think I'm one of the only ones that think that I don't really understand why the Man United fans are so angry. They just won the game. Why do you care? You've abused Garnacho all game. He hasn't even played. Why are you so bothered?
Why does he want to swap shirts? Hasn't he got enough Manchester United shirts?
Yeah. But Garnacho, right, he hasn't posted it. He's just posed with the picture that Amad Diallo has posted. I mean, Ali, what are your thoughts? Because I know if you've just lost an old firm game, I understand you probably wouldn't be swapping shirts. But Man United Chelsea, there's
I'm laughing at the. I can't think of anything more unlikely to happen than Rangers and Celtic playing swapping jerseys after the game.
Yeah, but
that's tickled me.
No, okay, because Man United Chelsea. Is it a rivalry? Okay, it was a big game, you know, back in, you think Jose Fergie and those years they had big rivalries, but it's not like Man United and Liverpool. It's not like Man United and I don't know. I feel like I'm.
You're, dare I say it, I think you're failing to understand football fans and how bitter and they can be when they feel they've been treated badly. And I get it totally. And by the way, I think they've got some justification. I really do, because I think Garnacho hasn't treated Manchester United or their fans in the manner that they should. And that's why the Manchester United fans are upset. And they think none of the players and none of their team and nothing to do with their club, anybody to do with the club should have nothing to do with Garnacho. And that's just the way it is. Whether they're right or wrong's up for debate, but that's the way they feel.
Look, Amad Diallo played with Garnacho, he's been in the same squad. They're probably really good mates. Nobody can question Diallo's attitude, I don't think, as well, on the pitch. He's absolutely brilliant for them. It depresses me sometimes that football is so tribal. You can never see the good in anybody if he plays for the opposition side. That sort of thing. And it's just really an extension of that, Maybe... Having said that, maybe a bit naive.
Well, he's a young lad. He's a young lad.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a young lad. Are we really going to vilify the kid?
No.
For getting a photograph taken with an ex-teammate, or probably a guy that, as you correctly say, I don't know, he might have travelled to training with him, sat with him every day at lunch. I mean, are we getting a wee bit carried away here? I would have thought so, yes.
Yeah, I think it's a massive overreaction from the Man United fans, who should just be happy that they've won a game. They've beaten Chelsea at Old Trafford. That's what they should be celebrating. I just felt a bit sorry for Amad in that situation. I just thought, but what I would also say is it sort of, I don't know if I'm overreacting here by saying that it just feels like the rivalries in the Premier League are just no more. All of the mates are good friends. They all are high-fiving, hugging after a game.
I think that's a good thing.
But I want, Jeff, I want a little bit of something in these big games.
Edge in the game is absolutely fine. But after the game, they all know each other. They're all on international duty together and things like that. And by the way, Amad Diallo, with the Garnacho, if Manchester United hadn't won the game...
Understandably.
It would have been, then people would have been on his back, understandably. They won the game. They got 3 points. It was a brilliant day for all Manchester United fans, a rotten day for all Chelsea fans. So, so let them just enjoy it as far as I'm concerned.
I'm exactly the same, Jeff.
I'm with you. I think you made a good point as well, Jeff. Because all these guys are in international duty. They know each other. I don't mind seeing it after the game. No. I'm not keen on seeing it before the game.
No,
but I don't mind seeing it after the game. Yeah.
By the way, Dean Coitzes just texted. He said, if you could time travel, he said, what concert would you go to?
Oh,
he said, for me, Depeche Mode at the Rose Bowl in 1988.
Depeche Mode?
Yeah.
Oh no, man. I mean, they're not bad, but come on, no doubt about it. AC/DC at the River Plate, Buenos Aires. If you've never seen it, get yourself tuned into that on YouTube. It's mental. It's brilliant.
Wow. Olivia, you got a concert you'd like to relive?
I'm not a huge concert person. I know that's quite... I don't know. I don't really go to many concerts even now. So picking one from back in the day, I don't know.
Olivia, do me a favour. See when you walk out that studio, right? Get your iPad or get your phone and press in AC/DC Thunderstruck at the River Plate in Buenos Aires. You will be mesmerised.
Okay, I will.
No, don't, Olivia. No. Then make sure you mute the volume.
Freddie Mercury at where did he play? What was that really famous?
Wembley?
No, where was the really famous one back? It was on Bohemian Rhapsody.
Live Aid.
Yeah. That would have been good. No.
Yeah.
I reckon that would have been good.
Yeah. Yes, without doubt.
I'll pick that one.
What a performer.
A brilliant text here. It is 2 hours ahead, by the way, in Greece. I should have known that because I was in Kefalonia earlier this year. Tom in Bexley Heath, thank you, Tom, said Jeff was baffled that Greece is 2 hours ahead. Mind you, this is the same bloke who once thought Mykonos was Sunderland's new left back. Tom, brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Olivia, thanks very much. Coming up, we'll turn our attention to Ryan Gravenberch and whether he's proven himself to be one of the best holding midfielders in the world.
Amen Corner, perhaps the most feared run of holes in golf. Each year it claims the tournament hopes of many, with balls hitting bunkers and water traps aplenty. But why is it so fearsome, and where did it get its name? Just the thoughts of holes 11, 12 and 13 at Augusta National gives the likes of Rory McIlroy and Jordan Spieth the shivers. McIlroy hit 3 over and Spieth hit 4 over in their final rounds to blow their hopes of a green jacket in 2011 and 2016 respectively. But did you know Amen Corner's name is inspired by a jazz song from 1933? American sports writer Herbert Warren Wint, on the left here, wrote about it in 1958, referencing the song shouted in that Amen Corner when describing the run. Hole 11 is a par 4 over 520 yards with a green guarded by a pond and bunkers to the front edge. 12, perhaps golf's most famous hole, is a par 3 over just 155 yards. The green's guarded by Rays Creek at the front, more bunkers and azalea bushes ready to punish the smallest error. Then there's the 13th that teases the hook shot over the trees. It's a dogleg par 5 over 545 yards that's inviting for big hitters who want to reach the green in 2. If you want to win the Masters, you have to keep your score down around Amen Corner. So who'll be the next to fall victim to golf's most famous and most daunting challenge?
At 7:34, a very good Monday morning to you. This is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Get £750 off any used electric car or home charger. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with us in Glasgow. Now, the champions Liverpool made it 5 wins out of 5 to start the Premier League season with that 2-1 derby win over Everton. Once again, not that impressive. Just maybe the first half hour or so, but after that. Anyway, talkSPORT Sunday edition co-host Henry Winder heaped praise on first goal scorer Ryan Gravenberch, who impressed yet again from midfield.
What has Arne Slot done? I mean, he's just fantastic what he has done, whether it's man management, whether it's tactical.
They have spent a few quid, Henry.
No, but sorry, on Gravenberch in particular. He didn't spend anything on Gravenberch, who was good under Klopp, but is not this level, as Chris says. You know, he's Europe's premier midfielder. There are other midfielders in the frame for that role. I mean, I think you could look at PSG's midfield, Rodri when he's fully fit and all that, but absolutely. He's certainly the most improved number 6 at the very top of world football.
There were a lot of question marks, weren't there, Coisty, about whether Gravenberch could fulfil that role, just over a season ago, but what a success he's been.
Oh, Jeff, I mean, I would take a step further than Henry. I wouldn't classify him as a 6. I think he could play anywhere along here. I really do. 6, 8, 10. He has been different class. I thought he's man of the match in midweek against Atletico Madrid. I thought his first 45 minutes on the Wednesday night, he was absolutely fantastic. I really did. His goal, at the weekend, was one of the goals of the weekend. I think his overall play again was a level above. Henry's spot on. He just looks this season to have taken his game to a new level. He really has. And in current form, definitely one of the best midfielders about at the moment, by a mile.
Completely agree. Brilliant goal at the weekend.
Yep.
Now, let's talk Manchester United and Chelsea, shall we? Interesting game, to say the least. A red card each, some interesting substitutions from Maresca. Torrential rain. At one stage, I thought it was going to be called off. All Ruben Amorim will care about is 3 points to relieve a bit of that pressure. Let's get more on this with a man who played for both clubs. It's a very good morning to Mark Bosnich. Morning, Mark.
Morning, Bozzy.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Ali. Well, good afternoon here from Australia.
Good lad.
Good to see you, mate.
Look, let's start right at the beginning, shall we? The Robert Sanchez red card. Was there anything else he could have done in that situation, do you think, Bozzy?
No, not really. Well, in terms of Robert Sanchez, he basically, once the ball's past him, you just got to let the player go, especially obviously these days. Once he sticks his leg out there, Mbeumo doesn't have to move anywhere. He can stay on his path, and it's a goal-scoring opportunity. You know, a lot of people start saying about the last, it doesn't come down to anything else, but was it a goal-scoring opportunity? And it was, and it had to be red.
Ozzy, where are you overall with United's start, mate? Because obviously, losing the home game to Arsenal 1-0, you start asking the questions again. Is it going to be a similar season for United? Where are you with them at the moment, mate?
Well, right now, I mean, it's pretty much a game-to-game proposition. So I would say half okay in terms of the result on the weekend. That was so important to them. Obviously, there was a disappointment against Grimsby. You talk about the Arsenal game. I thought they played very well against Arsenal. I'm fortunate not to get something out of that game. Fulham, really, they missed the penalty, and obviously they won against Burnley. Look, we know when a new manager comes into any team, to be honest, if they come into any job, it does take them time. And sometimes people equate, money spent with basically it should be instant success. It doesn't work that way. The only thing that concerned me, and it concerned me towards the end of last season as well, I actually think Ruben Amorim's an excellent young manager. But a couple of things. Number one, it's his first experience in the Premier League. And as it's been shown, not only with managers but with players, coming to the Premier League is completely different to managing or playing anywhere else. It takes you time to adapt. It hasn't been a year yet. But when he came out and said, he won't change his system, he'd rather change one person, that concerned me. I don't know. Remember, English is not his first language, so I don't know whether or not the context and the way he said it maybe got mixed up. But I would just say to him this, look, and he said it in the press conference on Friday before the game, that in the evolution that he won't just stick to one system. Having a philosophy is different to what type of tactics you use to get there. If your philosophy is attacking football, there's no problem then with actually tweaking things in a certain way, just to make sure that basically you get to the point where you are going to win football games. And I think he's slowly but surely learning that. And you see, when we talk about sixes and we talk about eights and we talk about 3-4-3s or this, that, and the other, the bottom line is people that are on the pitch have got to adapt to the situation that is. From a defensive perspective, in my opinion, all that means is making sure you have an extra man in the attackers. And from an attacking perspective, same thing. If you can get overloads, all the better. And that means during the game. And modern football is going more like that. That basically that system doesn't seem to be like that. So be it. Adaptability is the mark of a genius, and I think slowly but surely he's learning that.
You talk about adaptability. One thing you always seem to, he did it again at the weekend, and it's something I just don't get Bozzy at all. United are cruising 2-0, but it seems to be standard practice for him to replace a defender with another defender in the latter stages. So he takes Harry Maguire off. We all know what Harry's like in the air, how dominant he is. And lo and behold, a couple of minutes later, Chalobah pops up and scores with a header. I mean, what did you make of that?
Yeah, that always comes. But the first thing that comes to my mind, Jeff, as well, was Harry injured? We don't know 100%. Was he, hasn't been playing regularly? Was he out of gas as well? I hear exactly what you're saying. I mean, if they go on to keep a clean sheet, we don't have this conversation as well. But, like I said, managers get to a certain place because they do certain things to get there. My fellow countryman, Ange Postecoglou, comes to mind. But once you get to that place that you've got to, it's very, very difficult when the pressure's on not to go back to old habits. But I think, and you saw that with Ange Postecoglou last season in that Europa League. I mean, the quarterfinals against Eintracht Frankfurt, semi-finals against Bodo Glimt, and especially the final against Manchester United, he went against basically what, he's all about, just to go and win. And at this very level, this is what it's about. It's just about winning. And I think Ruben Amorim has come to that realization from what I heard come out of his mouth at Friday of the press conference.
But what about Bruno Fernandes, Bozzy? Tell me, because I think he receives a lot of unfair criticism, mate. A lot of people don't like perhaps his style. He's kind of European in terms of he's not happy with something, the arms got in the air and all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you one thing, mate, he's a constant. He's always there. He turns up for his work, and 99 times out of 100, I think he performs, mate.
I think you're spot on with that, Ali. Look, so far as I'm concerned, Bruno Fernandes has been Manchester United's best player for quite some time now. But with being a best player, and Ali, you know this being one of the top players at Rangers, when things are going well, and rightfully so, you get all the credit. But when things don't go well, it's the top players and the manager who also get all the criticism as well. So a lot falls upon his shoulders. I think sometimes in terms of where he's played, it's very, very important for him, because the bottom line is he's a goal scorer and a goal assister. Well, you're not going to get many goals or many goal assists playing very, very deep. Also, he's very good in possession and bringing the ball out. So I think sometimes he pays for that a little bit, because managers tend to turn around and go, okay, maybe we'll get him to come back and take the ball out of defence, but then you're losing one of your main attacking assets. I think what needs to be done is basically to put him in the positions which is a little bit further forward, where he can do the most damage to the other football side. Playing out from the back, this, that, and the other, okay, you know what? If he comes and plays out from the back really, really well for 90, 95 minutes, but you don't score any goals, what's the use of it? Okay? Once you get to the point where you know how to get from A to B to C, it's the players in that final third who are going to make the difference, and he can make the difference, but he needs to be in that position to do that.
Just finally, Bozzy, on Chelsea, a few eyebrows raised when the manager decided to take off both Estevao and Neto. But they lost Cole Palmer again. And I'm looking at their injury list now. Cole Palmer and Delap and Colwell and Badashil. Is this down to the fact that they had no sort of summer at all? They played in the Club World Cup.
Well, Jeff is pointing that way, isn't it? When we were commentating over here and speaking about Manchester City and Chelsea and sort of, saying well done to Chelsea for winning the FIFA World Club Championship, we all said, including myself, but this is the very first this happening in the summer, World Club Championship, the year before the World Cup as well. And we're going to have to keep a close eye both on Manchester City, all the teams that participated, but obviously from a Premier League perspective, Manchester City and Chelsea, and see how things pan out. And right this moment in time, the evidence is pointing one way, and that's basically saying that, look, maybe having a proper rest and a proper pre-season is really sort of crept up on Chelsea already. Cole Palmer's, by all reports I've heard, has been taking an injection in his groin area since that time. For the players' sake, he needs to have some type of rest, and to make sure, because we saw how dangerous he was. Look, it wasn't a good week for Chelsea. They were pretty much outplayed for the majority of their game against Bayern Munich, and obviously going down to Manchester United. But look, they're a very good side. In my opinion, they're very well managed. I know a lot of people will start to think after last season, winning the World Club Championship, qualifying for the Champions League, winning the Conference League, that now they are in a position to make a title tilt. I still think they're dark horses for that. But that thing about the FIFA World Club Championship, only time will tell. But right now for Chelsea, it's looking as though that, yes, that's starting to take its toll.
Bozzy, thanks very much indeed. Have a good afternoon.
Take care, Bozzy.
Take care, everyone. Take care.
I'm getting some stick because I didn't know that Greece was 2 hours ahead of the UK. Morning, boys. Jeff's not going to be shocked that Australia's in the afternoon, is he? Thank you very much indeed, Dave. A bit harsh. Still to come on talkSPORT Breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Doing what matters for the trade. Find your local branch at travisperkins.co.uk.
After 8, we'll turn our attention back to Arsenal. Here's George, the Arsenal fan, after that 1-1 draw with Man City.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not going to criticise Arteta. It's not fair. And like Troy said, he's done brilliant for us. Let's face it. But at the moment, you know the way I see him? I see him as a Formula 3 driver in a Formula 1 car.
Thank God he wasn't going to criticise him, eh? Do you agree with George? Has Mikel Arteta taken you as far as he can? 03717 223344. Give us a call. That was our look ahead with Travis Perkins.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. Bricks on bricks on bricks. Over 40 million available to order with delivery to site. That's one less thing to worry about.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. Joe from Kent says, morning Jeff and Ali. Any mention this morning of Gillingham, who at the weekend made history with their win over Newport, now on a 21-game unbeaten run. Absolutely fantastic, Joe. And of course, Gareth Ainsworth in charge. And I wish I had a button-up shirt and then I could rip it open, as Gareth is prone to do every week. And morning, Gareth, if you're listening. I know you will be as well, doing an absolutely brilliant job down there. What else do we know this Monday morning? Jamie Carragher's accused Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta of wasting the first 45 minutes of their game against Man City by playing with the handbrake on. Unai Emery's hammered his Aston Villa players. He's branded them lazy after their 1-1 draw with 10-man Sunderland. And Newcastle drew their third away game in a row, 0-0. With their boss, Eddie Howe, being asked if he was worried by their lack of goals.
Yeah, of course. I say a worry is maybe the wrong word, but I think you want to, whether you're scoring or not, you want to be creating. The creativity today wasn't quite there. I thought there were some promising moments that didn't lead to more than they should have done. So that's certainly stuff for us to work on. We're not going to get much training time, so it's really game to game for us. But we have the players to score, I've got no doubt about that.
Yeah. I was a bit surprised, Coisty, by the team that he played. You know, Lep Guimaraes and Joe Linton, Elanga, Trippier, Barnes on the bench. Shah, of course, was already out. Ramsey and Visser were already out. Gordon was suspended. I was shocked by the team, really.
I wouldn't say I was shocked, I was surprised, but then I was at the game on Thursday night, Jeff, and crikey, that would have taken an awful lot out of a lot of them. I mean, it was the intensity they played at, particularly in the first half when they could have and probably should have scored. And then I think the overall quality of Barcelona won them the game. But a little bit surprised, but, you know, I'm looking at the intensity and the effort they put in that Barcelona game, and you can maybe justify it yet.
Yeah, no, fair point. Now, the Athletics World Championships in Turkey came to an end over the weekend. For the first time in 22 years, Great Britain and Northern Ireland failed to win a single gold medal. In fact, they came away with just 5 medals in total. So to find out what on earth went wrong, let's talk to a man who watched it all, talkSPORT's athletics correspondent Michael Weedock. Morning, Michael.
Morning, Michael.
Oh, frozen in time. Morning, Michael. Can you hear us?
Are you there, Michael?
No, he's not. I don't know if you saw any of it, Coisty. I didn't see a great deal, but I did watch the final day. The women's 800 metres. Oh, my goodness.
Great race.
What a race it was. Keely Hodgson and Georgie Hunter-Bell. Magnificent.
I've got to say, I mean, it was an absolutely tremendous race, and the Kenyan girl, was it Lillian Odira?
Yes.
I think it was. I watched it, and the race, dare I say it, not being an expert on it, it looked as though it was run absolutely perfect for her, because I think her Kenyan teammate had went off at a really fast pace in the first lap, and it was as if, you know, Hodgkinson didn't know whether to get into the lead or sit behind her or what to do, and tactically, I think, you know, I'm not saying she got it wrong. I wouldn't know the ins and outs of it that much. But I tell you who did get it right, and that was a winner, Adira, who came with an incredible late run. But also a lot of credit for Georgia Hunter-Bell, who finished and pipped Hodgkinson on the line for the silver medal. It was a great race, mate. It was a great race.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Georgie Hunter-Bell, you know, it's a case of from park run to podium for her, and I think she's 31 now. But look, Michael Weedock's with us now. Morning, Michael.
Good morning, Michael.
Jeff. Morning, Ali. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We've got you loud and clear,
Look, we're singing the praises of that women's 800 metres, and of course there are 2 medals there for GB and Northern Ireland. But what's going wrong? Just 5 medals in total, and none of them were gold.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of things that haven't happened in Tokyo for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. I think there were some huge disappointments that people like Matt Hudson-Smith, who was a silver medalist in the 400 metres at the Olympics last year, didn't even reach the final this time. We've seen someone like Jasmine Sawyers come back from a really nasty injury, but I think we were fully expecting her to reach the final, for example. So there were disappointments there in athletes not achieving that podium position perhaps that we would have thought, or reaching finals that we would have thought. There were some unlucky moments. So Molly Cordery in the pole vault, injured in the warm-up. Josh Kerr, who I think we thought would get a medal alongside Jake Whiteman in the 1,500 metres, injured either at the start of that race or during that race. So that was a little bit unlucky. But for me, the biggest disappointment is the athletes that maybe haven't pushed on in the last year. So I'm talking about people like Max Bergin, Amber Anning. They were Olympic finalists a year ago. They've had good seasons. Amber Anning's been in her first full-time professional season. They reached the final. Morgan Lake's another one in terrific form, broke the British record, went over the magic 2-meter barrier in the high jump. They reached the final at the World Championships, but they didn't push on to that podium. They didn't get medals. Max Bergin finishing 6th, Amber Anning 5th, Morgan Lake 7th. And it's those near misses for me that weren't converted into medals that I think have been the biggest problem.
Michael, tell me, mate, I'm looking at some of the quotes coming out from the head coach, Paula Dunn, and she said prior to the championships that she reckoned 5 to 8 medals would be what the GB and Northern Ireland would get. And her quote was after it, she said, definitely a mixed bag, 5 medals, which is good, and I'm pleased to see, but also, as you mentioned, there are some missed opportunities. Now, I'm not all over it the same way you are, mate, but that surprised me. She's actually saying 5 medals is good. Of course, any medal's good, but are we wrong to expect more?
Well, I think we are right to expect more because we saw 10 in Paris at the Olympic Games. We saw 10 at the last World Championships in Budapest. The biggest disappointment, I think, for everybody, and the reason that this medal tally is not as high as it should be, is the relays. And we put an enormous amount of investment, both in terms of time and money, into the relays. In Paris, 5 relays. So you've got the men's and women's 4x1 and 4x4 and the mixed relay. In Paris, 5 relays, 5 medals. In Tokyo, 5 relays, no medals. Didn't get the baton round in the men's 4x100 meters. So maybe Paula Dunn, who obviously is in and around the team a lot more than I am, as often as I try and, contact and speak to the athletes and go to things like British Championships, maybe Paula Dunn was just aware that maybe the work hadn't quite gone in as good as it should have. But those relays are a real opportunity to win medals. As I said, 5 in Paris, which contributed to that total of 10, but none in Tokyo.
I mean, obviously, Michael, track and field gets a huge amount of funding. I think it's £20 million plus building up to the 2028 Olympics. Are people going to start asking questions about that funding?
I think when you put £20.45 million of taxpayer, lottery payers' money into a sport, you are entitled to ask questions. It's always going to be a difficult championships in terms of coming straight off the back of an Olympic Games. That's always a bit of a strange year. There were obviously some factors that people will cite as mitigating factors. I don't necessarily agree with them. People were talking about the conditions being so hot and humid. Athletes now in receipt of this funding, professional full-time athletes, they should prepare for these conditions. I speak to someone like Johnny Brownlee in triathlon, for example. If he's competing in a hot and humid country, he will go into his conservatory, get on his treadmill and blow hot air in his face to get ready for it. If you're a professional athlete, a full-time athlete, you should be aware of these. The facilities with the warm-up track being a 15-minute bus ride from the main stadium, again, that's been cited as something. But these were all knowns. These were all things that the athletes, their coaches and the support staff would all have known about. These are all things that should have been planned for. And I don't really buy into these excuses. And another one that I've heard this morning is that this is the 5th major global championships in 5 consecutive years, because obviously after COVID, we had a World Championship pushed back a year. Well, that's going to come as a surprise to some people next year, but we've got a Europeans and a Commonwealth Games all happening in the space of about 3 weeks. And then the new World Ultimate Championships event. So we've got 3 majors next summer.
Wow. Michael, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Michael. Take care.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Problems as far as British athletics are concerned. Julie says, Jeff Alley, what about Sunderland's efforts yesterday? All we hear is how poor the opposition were. Every time we play anyone. Well, Julie, if you've been listening on morning, you would have heard us. We have sung the praises of Sunderland fulsomely during the course of the first couple of hours. And Ben, who's a Tranmere fan, says, Jeff, disappointed with our loss to Walsall on Saturday. However, more importantly, another point for our beloved Mjolby means another step closer to the title. Absolutely, Ben. 8 points clear, 6 games to go. The Mjolby bandwagon rolls on. Very nearly 8 o'clock. 03717 223344. Arsenal fans, your chance to have your say on whether Mikel Arteta got it wrong yesterday. We'd like to hear from City fans as well. Or do you all agree with Ali that everyone's going over the top with their criticism?
How did it all come crashing down for Wales so suddenly? In his first tenure in charge, Warren Gatland built a dynasty, taking young guns and turning them into giants, not just for Wales, but for the Lions as well. 4 Six Nations titles, 3 of them Grand Slams, and in 2019, a world #1 ranking. But then, a record drop-off, golden generation all but gone, a first wooden spoon for 21 years, and 14 losses on the bounce. Why? Perhaps the main reason was poor spending. During Gatland's first tenure, the WRU committed its funds to world-leading training facilities for the national side, but underinvested in the club scene. Despite Ireland raking in similar overall revenues, its union would be committing up to £30 million a year more than Wales to their provincial clubs. In 2023, a report found the WRU had flitted away an £84 million TV deal on the purchase of a Cardiff hotel and a zip wire above the Principality. At the same time, the regional budgets and salary caps were being slashed, and they're still being cut. Add this to a distinct lack of player pathways when compared to the private school fueled setups in Ireland, Scotland and England, the continuous rise of football's popularity and generational talents going elsewhere. It all meant when Abby Tierney became CEO, having never worked in sport before, she had a mountain to climb. And yet the beauty of sport, of course, is it isn't played in the boardroom, and sometimes it takes surprisingly little for the narrative to shift almost overnight. When Gatland left for the second time, interim coach Matt Sherratt only had 3 training sessions before Wales's next game,
but the team looked unrecognisable, and all he did was pick players in the right positions and provide a bit of attacking structure. Suddenly, Wales were back pushing Ireland to the wire. As Gatland's first tenure taught us, for Wales' success to be sustainable, once the books are balanced, the regions need more money, salary caps need boosting, player pathways need investment. But it doesn't have to mean Wales lose every game in the meantime.
Good morning, this is talkSPORT Breakfast with Arnold Clark. Get the UK's best used car deals guaranteed. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with us live from Glasgow. 7 minutes past 8. Trigger from Ledbury says, morning lads, just letting Jeff know that all three Leeds goals came from all three new strikers. Jeff was concerned where our goals are coming from. Question answered. I hope so, Trigger, but just bear in mind that Wolves conceded 4 at home to Man City and 3 at home to Everton as well. So just a bit premature, maybe a bit knee-jerkish. But look, I tell you what,
Jeff,
what chance of all three promoted teams staying up?
Got a chance. And
Got a definite chance.
I'll tell you something else, mate. What a header, Calvert-Lewin.
Oh,
what a header, mate. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the... the ball comes across. He knows he's just going to the other side of the defender, and he generates the power to get back over. I thought it was a beautiful header.
That's what he can do when he's fit.
Yeah.
Let's hope he stays fit for his sake and for Leeds' sake.
Absolutely. Had a half chance in the previous game, which it escapes me. But you get the impression that they have to take their chances, but certainly a brilliant result with the weekend.
Oh, it's a fantastic result for them. Jimmy from Bromborough on the World says, hi, Jeff and Ali. Heard your Arsenal fan guest earlier talking about Arsenal's tough start of the season. Liverpool have played Arsenal, Newcastle away, last season's surprise package Bournemouth, Burnley, who hadn't lost at home in 25 games, and our local rivals, Everton, who've had a great start to the season. Excuses FC at it already. By the way, we have unbeaten Palace coming up. Also, Jeff, I'm in Liverpool today, which is in the same time zone as London, just in case you're wondering. Thanks, Jimmy. Oh, well, the Emirates. I'm never going to live this down.
No, you're not, mate.
No. The Emirates is exactly where we start this hour. Arsenal snatched a late point, but did Mikel Arteta lack ambition?
Deep in stoppage time, what a ball from inside the centre circle. I think it was Eberechi Eze picking out the run of Gabriel Martinelli. His first touch to get away from Guardiola's exquisite. His second to lift the ball over the advancing Donnarumma and into the net is absolutely sensational.
The last season we equalised in the last moment Etihad, and they equalised here. It's football.
Regardless of the result, I would have said the same thing. I'm extremely proud of the players and the team. I think the manner that we played and dominated this game against this Manchester City, from my side as a coach, requires a big compliment to the team.
Remember, I phoned up after the Liverpool game, equally frustrated.
Yes.
I thought I absolutely choked on that occasion. He's done it again, at home this time. At the moment, you know the way I see him? I see him as a Formula 3 driver in a Formula 1 car.
Oh.
He just doesn't know how to control the car, does he?
It finishes here. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1.
Oh, yeah, so 1-1 draw. Mikel Arteta roundly criticised, really, for starting Marino, Rice and Zubamendi in the midfield. Amongst those with that criticism, Roy Keane, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, and talkSPORT's very own Troy Deeney, who said much the same on the Final Word phone-in. He fears Arteta may be missing his moment to deliver that Premier League title.
The problem is, once you start missing consistently, which is what they're doing, Liverpool get better, Chelsea get better, I don't know, Spurs can get better. Everyone around you can start to get better. Man City could come back. Mm-hmm. So your window of opportunity goes each passing year, because then what happens then is the Real Madrids, the Bayern Munich start hovering around,
of course they do.
They go, right, we'll take Saliba. Do you know what I mean? And that's where I just think they get to a point where you have to win now, and your window of opportunity is only right now. You can't keep saying it's a 5-year project. We're through that, by the way. I know everyone stopped talking about that, but we are through them 5 years. We're past that. We're going to win this year. We've got the best squad. We've done all of this. Go and win me some games then. Go and win me the big games.
I don't know about that, Coisty. I think it would be difficult to argue that they're not stronger this season than last season. And by the way, you get 3 points for winning the big games. You get 3 points for beating the lesser sides as well.
Yeah. Listen, Jeff, the discussion here, I think, is about one player or one position. Let's see what the discussion's about. In terms of creativity, did they have enough creativity in their team? I would probably lean towards some of the Arsenal fans and say they could have had more. Yes, Eze gives them more creativity. Probably Saka gives them more creativity. But I keep saying it, mate. We're only talking about one position here, really, and one player. That's all we're talking about. Because the front three, if it doesn't pick itself, we can all have an individual preference. Okay, Martinelli starts or Saka starts, but effectively the front three is the front three. So we're talking about one player here, Eze, right? Should he have played? Yeah, he probably should have. But I'm watching him the Tuesday night in Bilbao, and I don't like him out in that left-hand side because I don't think he brings enough to... I know with Joel on, who watches Arsenal more than me, but I think you're going to get more out of him in a central position. So if you're going to play him, I think you do play him in that three. Look, Rice plays, no matter who they're playing, if it's a big game. Marino will score you very important goals, but I'm sure he's not as creative as Eze. And Zubamendi would be the one that would probably sit in front of the back four. So we're talking about one player for one position here. I think the criticism's massively over the top. I really do. I think it's massively, massively over the top. I think Arteta, for example, his recent record against Manchester City is excellent. It's excellent. And what they got yesterday, yes, they got a 92nd minute goal or whatever it was, but nobody will tell me that wasn't a deserved goal.
One question I would put to you, though, Coisty, is regardless of the starting 11, did you think in that first 45 minutes that they lacked dynamism, they lacked drive, they showed too much respect to Manchester City?
I don't know if they showed too much respect. I would definitely take your first point. I definitely think that they lacked a bit of dynamism, and I thought it would go the other way, mate, because I'm thinking those 48 hours will make a big difference in terms of the gap between the games, if you know what I mean. Obviously, I thought it would make a big difference, and it didn't. If anything, City certainly started the stronger, and it's the first time. I was fascinated by that game yesterday, Jeff. I really was, because it's the first. See, for me, mate, see the talking point. The talking point's not Arteta this morning, right? It is a talking point, but it's not the talking point. The talking point has to be the way Guardiola went about that game. That has to be the talking point for me.
I think something we'll touch on a bit later in the show, Coisty. But Jake has already asked the same question. He said, "Hi, guys, love the show. But is there no criticism of Pep Pulis's style of play yesterday?" Which is an interesting point. I'm not sure he had so many options, And look, if they'd gone there Jeff, and won 1-0, what a result that would have been.
Yeah, of course it would, and then we would, you know what we'd be saying? There's Pep, genius. He's willing to change it. He's willing to do something that a lot of coaches won't do now, and that's completely rip up what his thesis in football is, if you like, the way he wants to play, and he's willing to do something different to win a game. And I'd actually admire him for doing that. But he's taken off his centre forward, and effectively he's gone really with 5-5-0.
Yeah, he'd already taken Foden off as well, remember?
Correct. So he's taken off massive creativity and massive goals. Now, and he's also taken off, as I mentioned to you earlier, one of his best defenders, not just yesterday, but in recent weeks. And that is the centre forward in Haaland.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't aware of it, but you've told me Pep said he asked to get taken off, whether it was fatigue, whether it was he was a niggling injury, or whatever it may be.
Apparently, he just said he was exhausted.
Well, yeah, I hear that, and I can understand him getting maybe a little bit of stick there. There would be another argument, a pro-argument for it, saying he's actually thinking about the team doing that. I know I'm probably in the other camp, but I'm trying to balance it out a little bit, Jeff. But I still think the way Pep went about the game is a far bigger talking point than the way Arteta went about it.
It'll come up again, mate. No question about that. Coming up, it's a golden time to be a reality TV fan, with Strictly, Celebrity Traders and Maths all getting underway. I'll bring you my breakdown of them next. I'm obsessed by Love Island, honestly.
You should have grabbed me and you should have pulled me straight away, but you didn't.
I have enough chats. I'll chat to you all day long.
I'm not asking you to donate me a kidney. I'm just asking for you to be clear about how you feel.
You can go and do one. We don't care about you.
This thing is, she's trying to make a show. You desperate beg.
Oh, man, I've blown the relationships and tatters.
My goodness.
I can see it, the relationships and tatters.
Nothing better than a beer and Love Island. Things you can do with editing. Goodness me. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. So after the summer treat that was Love Island, reality TV is moving into a whole raft of programmes to keep the cockles warm while the weather takes a turn. Saturday saw the return of Strictly Come Dancing. Last night, Married at First Sight returned. Fans of Traitors were given a glimpse of the first ever celebrity version, which gets underway next month. Look, I just want to disillusion people that I'm obsessed with reality shows because I didn't really watch the last series of Love Island. I didn't see Strictly Come Dancing. I didn't see Maths. I won't be watching Celebrity Traitors either, okay? So let's set the record straight. Oh, I might watch some of Maths. Coisty. So Coisty, look, all of those programmes, Strictly or Maths or Traitors, which do you think you would do best at?
Celebrity Hunted. No Danger. That's the one for me.
Right.
Have you seen that one?
Oh, yeah, great.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That's the one. Although I'd need to do it myself. I mean, there was talk of me. I was going to go on it with Big Brazil, but I think Big Al and I, well, if I did it with Big Al, we'd probably get caught in the King's Arms round the corner.
Yeah. It would be too obvious. Yeah. I mean, I would love to do that, but you have to have a friend to do that with. So.
That's my favourite. I'm not really into the other ones. I might, I haven't watched it, right? But I'm going to tell you something. I'll probably watch Celebrity Traitors, just because it might interest me a little bit, you know. And there's one or two of the characters on it, I think might make it interesting. That one I would maybe watch, yeah.
Let's get the focus back on sport, shall we? Because it's time for the latest odds with Coral and Dave Stevens.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Oh, Steve-o, morning.
Steve-o.
I think we're out of time, gents. Lovely to talk to you.
Shall we just touch on what happened at Fratton Park at the weekend?
By all accounts, Jeff, it was like Portsmouth were terrible. Like John Martino didn't try and make any excuses. And he just said it was similar to last season where we come off the back of a good performance. The point at Southampton the week before, a game we should really have won. We were odds-on favourites to win it. I thought John Martino say, I only heard his sort of post-race reaction. I was actually down at the Tizard Yard with the Coral Racing Club visit. So it sounds like I dodged one there. And yeah, no excuses, Jeff. Just a really, really disappointing performance against, obviously, the side that were bottom and have now lifted themselves above their neighbours, Sheffield United, obviously.
Yeah, our old pal on the show, Barry Bannon, scoring one of the Wednesday
delighted for him,
yeah.
Great, isn't it? Steve, I'll try and get you out of the South Coast the South Coast saga. Now, we've been talking all morning about whether Arteta's got the handbrake on or whatever, but I was actually amazed at Pep's tactics, which I think were more of a talking point. But regarding that result, is it safe to say Liverpool were the biggest winners?
There you go, Ali. We've been saying it all morning, haven't you? And the betting absolutely reflects that. They're 5 out of 5. They haven't hit top gear yet, Liverpool, have they? I think that's the sort of the frightening things for their rivals. They sit 5 points clear, as I say, but you feel there's more to come. For me, the moment in the Merseyside derby, listening to Sam Matterface and Charlie Adams' commentary, it wasn't kind of anything Liverpool did. It was the moment when he took off McAllister, Gakpo and Ekitike and brought on Isak, Jones and Wirtz. Yes. Now, I mean, that's a bench, Ali, isn't it? That's a squad. Now, I know Arsenal have improved their squad. Man City looked to be slightly improved, although yesterday's performance, was a bit of an eye-raiser. I think the problem for both those sides is Liverpool have improved. Given how far they were clear last year, they're even money to win the title again. They're odds on in places now. 15-8 Arsenal, 6-1 Manchester City. So, yeah, a point yesterday for Arsenal and Man City was a good result for Liverpool. I think we all agree on that.
Yeah. What about the other end of the table, Steve-O? Because defeats for Wolves and West Ham and Brentford again, where all the promoted teams picked up something.
Yeah, and I've heard you saying, what odds all three of them stay up. That's 7-1. It feels like, Burnley fans, don't hate me for this, but it feels like they're the team in the most, danger, and they are the shortest price, 11-4 on Burnley to go down. But Wolves now 2-1 on, and they've just given Pereira a new contract. I mean, I don't know. That's a vote of confidence, presumably. Sunderland 11-10, but they seem to be going along nicely enough, Ali. West Ham into 6-4. Potter under enormous pressure, as we know. Leeds 5-2, Brentford 11-4, and then it's 6-1 or bigger the rest. So, yeah, I just think Sunderland and Leeds, Ali, have started brilliantly. And if you give yourself that platform early on, it's going to be the likes of Wolves and West Ham that will be looking over their shoulders at the teams that came up.
Well, I actually said, Steve, what's amazing, I actually said to Jeff first thing this morning, is there a possibility that three of them might stay up? And you'd have to say Burnley have started pretty well as well, obviously a result, a little bit unlucky not to get anything from the Liverpool game, and they picked up a point against Forest. So, but it is important, as you say, mate, that the newly promoted side's got off to a good start, and I think certainly that's been the case. Steve, you talk about people that have had a good weekend. Now, tell me about the weekend that Phil Cunningham, Richard Spencer and jockey George Wood have had. What a weekend that was.
Yeah, this was up at Ayr, obviously, for the Ladbrokes Ayr Gold Cup meeting, and they won not only the Ayr Gold Cup, but they took silver medal as well. Yeah. With the Ayr Silver Cup, that one of the big consolation races. Extraordinary. Phil Cunningham puts enormous amount into the game. He always names his horses after songs. He owned Cockney Rebel, he owned Two Tribes. Yeah. This was Run Boy Run and Candy. And I have to confess, I'm not sure what song Run Boy Run is from, but no doubt somebody musically more knowledgeable than me will know. But yeah, amazing weekend. To win two big sprint handicaps, along with a Stewards' Cup, a Coral Stewards' Cup he won down at Glorious Goodwood earlier in the season, was quite extraordinary up there at Ayr.
Steve-O, brilliant. Thank you very much, mate.
Have a good day, mate.
Cheers, fellas.
And that was a look at the latest odds, all thanks to Coral 18 Plus, gambleaware.org. Mike has texted, says, morning, gents. All of us Palace fans knew that Arsenal would stick Eze out on the left and waste him. He is a 10 with freedom to roam. Both Hodgson and Glasner got the best out of him this way. And by the way, just gives us an excuse to mention Crystal Palace. Fifth in the table, despite the fact they sold Eze, despite the fact that the season before Elise left them, and look what he's doing at Bayern, where he's been absolutely brilliant. But Palace,
unbeaten in 17. Was it unbeaten in 17, Jeff?
Yeah, all competitions, fantastic.
It's magic,
phenomenal, really. And Tariq Mitchell, what a strike that was at the weekend for him. Brilliant, well done. Coming up, we turn our attention to West Ham, and we'll hear a very frosty interview with a certain Graham Potter.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
actual rules behind it. Back when association football started, pitches could be 100 metres wide and 200 metres long. That's longer than Ellen Road. Not the pitch, the stadium. Anyway, UEFA wanted a standard across Europe, which became 105 metres long and 68 metres wide. But some clubs have been rebels, not intentionally, but because of the stadiums. Take Highbury, for example. It was 5 metres shorter and a metre narrower, meaning away sides had a challenge just to adjust. Today, Forest Pitch at the City Ground is a big one, 2 metres wider than others. But the smallest of all? Craven Cottage, just 100 metres long and 65 metres wide. There are a couple of crazy outliers in Europe too, such as Napoli's home ground, the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, where the pitch is a whopping 110 metres long. So UEFA have their standards, so do the FA, but they give pitches in England some wiggle room. Pitches can be anywhere between 90 and 120 metres long, between 45 and 90 metres wide. Just imagine a pitch that's 120 metres long and 45 wide. Madness. So there you have it. There is a standard size and most teams do generally follow it. But as we all know, size doesn't matter, does it?
Very good morning to you. 8:34, very nearly 8:35. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. Get £750 off any used electric car or home charger. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with us, and Gary in Oundle has said, morning chaps, got into work at 8. Been listening since, and I haven't heard one mention of United's win at the weekend. It seems you're only happy to talk about us when there's a media created crisis at Old Trafford. Gary, turned on too late, mate. 7:30, we had Mark Bosnich, your former goalkeeper, on talking about Manchester United beating Chelsea. Yep. So it's not that we're only happy to talk about you when you've got a crisis. It was I thought it was an absolutely fascinating game. I thought the conditions were amazing as well. By the way, at some stages I thought it might be called off, but So we have talked about it, Gary. Sorry that you missed it. I'm sure we'll touch on it again before the end of the show. Meanwhile, serious trouble for West Ham. 5 games, 1 win, 4 defeats left them rooted inside the bottom 3. The fans are not happy, protesting against the board, and a trip to where else? Everton, managed by old boss David Moyes, is next. I mean, I tell you what, Cos. I mean, I've got some sympathy with Graham Potter. I had a message on X about Graham Potter. So he's had 2 windows, January and the summer, and a fairly successful pre-season with 1 defeat. Sadly, he isn't using the players or systems he tried in the pre-season. I think it's harsh to say he's had 2 windows because he joined on January the 9th. Yeah. So that was halfway through the first window, and then you've got to assess what you've got. My view is that he's been let down by by what's happened in the transfer window that he's had, because frankly, the signings, the recruitment, it's just not been good enough.
No, I agree, mate. I agree, and with the greatest respect, I'm looking at the team. I think forward areas, I think it's all right. I do. I mean, Bowen, Paquetá, Somerville, excuse me, Callum Wilson. I know Phil Krug came on for Callum Wilson, but I don't think they're strong enough in other departments defensively. Centre-backs, I thought Kilman would do better for them. I really did, Jeff. I've got to be honest with you. Mavropanos in the middle of the park, Lord Prowse and Fernandes. I know Souček's been in there as well. I actually look at them, and I don't think, looking at that squad, looking at that team, I mean, I think they are where they are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't see them being anything anywhere like above middle at all. I think that squad that they've got is below middle and could be in trouble.
Well, after that latest defeat on Saturday, it's safe to say Graham Potter wasn't best pleased. Take a listen to this.
Do you still think you're the right man for the job?
Yes.
Even though we've had a poor start to the season?
Yes.
Fair enough. Can I ask you about the couple of team selections? No, I mean, listen, I asked the question, you answered it, fair enough. Can I ask you about a couple of team selections? The goalkeeping situation, you brought back Ariola today.
Yes.
Can you explain why?
Yeah. Sometimes you have a feeling that a player can help the team. And just like all positions, you have to make those calls. And Fons has got some qualities. Of course, he has. He's a top goalkeeper. And he'll help us. He'll help us today, I thought, and I think he did. I think he did well. It's. I don't think it's anything to do with him. It's just. Yeah, that's just life sometimes.
Callum Wilson up front, and then you brought Fulcrook on for the second half. Was there ever a temptation to play both of them together?
No.
The Moose being given a hard time by Graham Potter, who'd just been given a very hard time by the West Ham fans.
Correct.
Let's cross over to someone who knows exactly what it's like to be in the hot seat at West Ham, shall we? Sam Allardyce joins the show. Morning, Sam.
Good morning, Sam. I'm laughing at that interview.
Well, Sam, I've got to ask you the question. How would you respond if the Moose asked you if you were the right man for the job?
You mean the tactician of all tacticians, you mean, don't you? Ooh, you're not tempted to play two up top. Ooh, yeah, oh, my God, man. Oh, dear.
Listen, Sam, do you think he was more tempted to play two up top after he's got Mushy's opinion? What do you think?
Oh, my word.
Yeah. Look, I mean, obviously, Graham Potter's in a spot of difficulty at the moment. I was just suggesting that to Coisty, though, that maybe he's been let down by the recruitment, Sam. What do you think?
Well, I mean, one of the big things, Jeff, today is you're not totally in charge of recruitment anymore, and I think that is one of the big downsides of us having the foreign element of and taking up the foreign element of we are just coaches and nothing else, and I think that means we're lesser managers than we've ever been before. Our responsibility has diminished into, well, just coach the team and that's your job done. And of course, in that case, if you're not in control of the players that are coming in, you're less in control of what you've got and how you can use it. Now, if you've got great recruitment, then that's fine. If you haven't got as good recruitment, then you're going to struggle. And it doesn't really matter how good a coach you are, whether you pep at the top or whether you're at the bottom, like he is at the minute with West Ham. It's going to be a massive struggle because you're only as good as the players on the pitch, and no matter how hard you try, what systems you use, there is improvement you can make in terms of how you approach it and picking the right systems and blocking off the right players and making life difficult for the opposition when they're better than you, and then changing the way they play if you think you're better than them. It's a very, very difficult job indeed. So, yes, the recruitment has let him down, but you have to roll your sleeves up and change who you are to make sure you can manufacture result however you can manufacture it, and forget about anything else and forget about the outside world, forget about the pressures of the outside world and focus on what you need to do, and that's win football matches whichever and however you can, and don't listen to the white noise outside.
Sam, I'm listening, and you're right. I mean, you're mentioning there, forget about the outside world, and you're absolutely spot on, because effectively you can only worry about what's going on in your own house. However, would you be a little bit more concerned if you're West Ham, perhaps, or Wolves, or even Brentford, or one or two other teams, that it certainly looks like the newly promoted sides have got more about them this year?
Oh, absolutely, Ali. For the first time in 2 seasons, there's been no pressure on the teams that are already there. The 3 teams that came up have been the 3 teams that have virtually stayed in the bottom 3 the entire season, and last season particularly accumulated the worst points total ever in 3 teams getting promoted into the Premier League. So at least this time we've seen planning and recruitment be a lot better with those 3 teams. Like you mean, so Sunderland, Burnley, Leeds are all looking relatively comfortable in terms that they can compete in the Premier League this season. Early days yet, but a good start for them takes an awful lot of pressure off them. And then the teams that have been sat there in the Premier League for a few years and thinking that, will we be all right again? They're struggling that much more, I mean, never mind, West Ham, Wolves are struggling even more, aren't they? So, yeah, but the problem is, I think, is the home form for for West Ham, the fact that, if it doesn't go well, then it gets pretty hostile pretty quickly. And I think that has an effect, particularly on the players. And that's one of the problems that Graham has to get the players over with and get them playing better and winning more games at home.
Sam, I saw you sitting next to Sir Alex at Old Trafford at the weekend. How happy was he that Robert Sanchez got a red card?
I think if you're a Man United at that particular time, everybody was happy. I think that it took a huge amount of pressure off particularly the manager, Mr. Amaron, like you mean. And I think that in all fairness, it was a pretty comfortable performance. But you do admit though that it was down to 10 men each pretty quickly after that. So it wasn't as if they went through the rest of the game 11v10. But I didn't think Chelsea put that much pressure on them, Jeff, to be honest with you. So a good performance by Man United, and not as much pressure as I expected from a Chelsea side that's been going so well at the moment. And I think that it was a massive, massive 3 points, because anything less than that, the pressure would be building on him again.
Sam, thanks very much indeed again, mate.
Good to speak to you, Sam. All the best.
Cheers, lads. See ya.
Big Sam Allardyce on events, in particular at West Ham. Tony A says, Jeff, on my way to Southampton from rugby, do I go through any time zones? Just get that hand, isn't it? You go through the Tropic of Winchester, Tony. Enjoy that. And I've got another one here from James, who says, morning, Jeff, morning, Ali. I'd like to talk about the people who talk about their team not being talked about when they haven't listened to the whole show. Thank you, James. Now, sorry, Coyce, it was brilliant, wasn't it? Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, fantastic.
Still to come on breakfast.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Benchmarks Kitchens and Joinery. Get trade prices on kitchens to suit all styles and budgets at Benchmarks.
David Seaman will be along to help us pick out the bones of Arsenal against Manchester City yesterday. Did he think Mikel Arteta was too cautious? What had he made of Donnarumma's start to life at Manchester City? We'll find out just after 9. And that was our breakfast preview with Travis Perkins Hire.
Superstar Breakfast preview on talkSPORT with Travis Perkins. With 250 hire branches nationwide, it's easy to hire at Travis Perkins.
Very good morning to you. It is 8:50 Monday, September the 22nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. Ollie says, morning chaps. In your opinion, who's been the best all-round goalkeeper so far in the Premier League? I know everyone is going to go for their own goalkeeper. What do you think, Coisty, off the top of your head? Who's been the best all-round keeper?
I'll throw one at you that made a mistake at the weekend, and that's Robin Roofs.
Yeah. Couldn't argue with that.
I think he's been excellent. He did blunder at the weekend, but I think he's been excellent.
Yeah, I think David Raya as well has been.
Yes.
Just what he always is. He's always very, very good indeed.
Yeah.
03717223344 is the number to call and get involved. In fact, we're going to do that right now because Rangers did manage to get a win at the weekend against Hibs. It was a cup game, but the fans still decided to protest against Russell Martin being on the job by throwing bouncing balls onto the pitch. Tom's a Rangers fan. He was at the game. What did he make of it? Morning, Tom.
Good morning, Tom.
Morning, lads. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate.
Good. I was at the game again Saturday. We spoke last Monday, but, the protest went ahead on Saturday at 4:30. It was loud, and they made their point, during the game. But my point's for Russell Martin here, right? I'm still in the basis it has to go. But I watched the game Saturday. We were there, we saw it. We played a lot better. We got away with a couple of wee silly mistakes. But Raskin was back, made a massive difference. Now, my point I'm going to make is the guy won us the game. But my argument is here, should he then make Raskin the captain to give us a leader on the park? Because I think if he builds a team around Raskin, he may possibly get the fans back on side. He's got to do whatever he can to get us back on side. And I think Raskin could be the man to lead us going forward for the rest of the season. Because I think one guy that worked beside him, Asgard, I think is going to be an outstanding prospect for Rangers. I just wonder what you think of that, lads.
Well, I'll tell you what I think, Tom, right? Believe it or not, I watched the game. I watched the game coming up the road. I was at Liverpool, Everton, but I watched the entire game. And I think you're right. I think we were a lot better. I still think we got a wee bit of luck with their goal to get disallowed, but we didn't get any luck the week before when there was 3 big decisions went against us. So, but in answer to your question, Raskin, I think I said last week to you, mate, I can't believe that Raskin didn't play in the last couple of games, big games, right? Now, there's clearly something happened which we've not been privy to, right? But you can't do anything to affect the team because the team is everything, Tom. So in my view, Raskin must play because the team is above any personal feud or any... Now, if there's been a breach of discipline, I get that totally. I understand that. And there will be occasions where you have to clamp down on players. But I don't think you can do it if it's to the detriment of the team longer term, Tom. Now, you're right in what you're saying. One of the things that he could do that certainly would get a lot, if not the majority of fans back on side with that decision would be to make Raskin skipper longer term. Because I think you make a valid point. I think looking at the middle of the park, I think Raskin in there with Diamandi and whoever, whether it's Asgard playing as a 10 in front, is not a bad midfield at all. And I think Russell Martin probably has to keep winning games, not probably, definitely has to keep winning games, but he has to do other things as well to try and attempt to get the fans back on side. Does it create a problem itself, changing captain? I'm not so sure. It would be a heck of a statement, I'll give you that, mate.
Tom, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks again. Cheers.
Thank you.
Every weekend, whether it's in Scotland or England, we talk about refereeing decisions, don't we? Doesn't matter which division it is. And if you looked at the Murseyside derby at the weekend, Coisty, you were there. A few questionable decisions, including Kieran Dewsbury Hall being booked for taking a free kick too quickly. Now, Jack Grealish said afterwards he'd never seen anything like it in all his time in football. He was yellow carded as well after the final whistle, just about his protests. And his boss, David Moyes, seemed to agree with those comments.
Well, all the media outlets are saying the same. They're all asking the same thing. They're all saying 3 minutes seem very strange. They only put 3 minutes on. We've played teams recently who've taken free kicks quickly and caught us out by their quick play. So we're always warning the players about it. We wanted to take things quickly, but today it had to go on the referee's whistle. And if that was the case, then that would have added even more time on, I would have thought. So, but hey, we've been here so many times, and I've said many times, I've probably moaned about referees, but I think it is that there is something in it, there's a factor in it that it's very difficult to get the decisions. 3 minutes, I think if it was the other way around, if it was 2-1 to Everton at the time, I don't know if it would have been a 3 minute added on, but who knows.
Yeah, I mean, look, well, you were there, Coisty. Darren England was the referee. I think there was another occasion in the game where he stopped Everton taking a free kick because he was still talking.
You know something?
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. It's not now. He'll come back and say I wasn't ready for the free kick to be taken, right? But the fact of the matter is, the team that have been penalised and awarded the free kick, you're penalising further if you don't let them take it quickly, right? Now, I thought it was as mad a booking as I've seen in a long time. All Dewsbury Hall is trying to do is take advantage of a correct decision that was awarded to him, a free kick, right? So, by all means, right, I get it. The referee might not have been ready, or he might not have been looking, or he might have been talking to somebody, and he says, no, you're taking that due. But you cannot book the guy for trying to take advantage of a situation which we would be sitting saying, I'd be sitting up in that commentary box saying, why did he not take it quickly?
Yeah.
So it was crazy. And where Big Moisey is absolutely spot on as well, 6 substitutions, only 3 minutes, we were staggered up in the corner.
Oh, yeah, completely.
Fletch and I were staggered.
When do you ever see only 3 minutes in a game now? I mean, how long does it take for all of those substitutions?
Yeah. Well, I wrote them down. Oh, I've got them in blink in front of me. Hold on 2 seconds. I could read them to you. Jones come on, Wirtz come on, Isak come on, Alcaraz come on, Dibbling come on. I think Barry come on at half-time as well. So, I mean, there was at least 6. So, there's got to be more than 3 minutes. I get that, and I see Moisey's point. But do you know something? See, looking back on it, I think Everton will take a lot of positives.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly disappointed. I thought the performances, particularly Grealish, I thought he was excellent. And Jai did a lot of good things. But Liverpool look as though they've just got that little bit. We speak about it, Jeff. I don't think they've certainly not got going for 90 minutes.
No.
But I think the first 25, 30 minutes of both games recently, they've been wonderful.
They were great, but then they have to learn to carry it on and hold on to a lead. I want to throw one more name into the Everton discussion, just very, very briefly, Coisty, because I thought they were... a draw wouldn't have been undeserved. James Tarkowski, I mean, what a warrior he is, you know?
Brilliant. Oh, I loved it. There was an instant, Jeff, I don't know if you watched the game.
Yeah, I did.
There was
I know what you're going to say.
With Van Dijk. It's brilliant. The incident with Van Dijk, they were niggling each other at set plays for about every set play it caught. I couldn't take my eyes off them, mate. It was brilliant.
You get the impression, though, that they were both loving it.
Of course they were. And there was a healthy respect for each other. That's the way it should be. It was great.
No, it was absolutely fantastic. We asked about goalkeepers. Ryan's been on. He says David Raya, easily the best goalkeeper in the league. Jeff, not even close. Donnarumma, great shot stopper, poor with his feet. Alisson, the same. Raya, brilliant at everything. Coming up, we are joined by another goalkeeper who's brilliant at everything as well, David Seaman, to find out if he agrees with Ali that the criticism of Mikel Arteta is unfair.
Tyson Fury, Floyd Mayweather, Canelo Alvarez. Just hearing these names makes you think money and the hundreds of millions of dollars, pounds or Saudi riyals in boxing. But that's at the top. At the bottom, it isn't quite the same. Even for those on the rise, there's not an awful lot of cash in the boxing world. And if you're just starting out, well, it can be a very costly exercise indeed. But don't take my word for it. Here's the former European champion, talkSPORT's Spencer Oliver.
You're turning professional and you're boxing, let's say, York Hall on a non-televised fight. You have to sell tickets to earn any money, but you have to cover the wages of your opponent as well. So if you don't have the ability to be able to sell enough tickets, you effectively have to pay to fight.
A far cry then from Jake Paul facing Mike Tyson in 2024, when the purse was reported to be around £48 million. But the vast amounts of cash lining the top dog's pockets isn't the norm in a typical fight.
Let's say you're lucky and you get between 5 and 10 grand. You're going to get 10 grand max for that. 10% goes to the trainer, 25% goes to the manager. Then we've got the tax man to pay as well. So we're cutting that money in at least half. So now you've got 5 grand for a 10-week camp. So you're talking about a guy here earning, he might be clearing 500 quid a week. How do you support a family on that? So boxers chase the dream. And, you know, there's probably 2% of them that actually make it.
So say you do make it and you start to rise up the ranks. Strikers Boxing, a training academy, says the mid-tier fighters can earn more, somewhere between £10,000 and £50,000 a fight, depending on record, profile, opponent and popularity of weight class. It's only at the top level does the real cash start flowing in, with the top-tier professionals, i.e. those going for titles, earning 6 figures a fight. Something else you'll have heard of is the terms prize fighter or journeyman. A prize fighter is, as it sounds, someone who picks up fights where they can and gets a nice big check if they win. Journeymen are the fighters who take on up-and-comers, effectively used for experience in the ring. Even if they're going up against the real prospects, a young Anthony Joshua, for example, these guys will be lucky to earn more than 10 grand. So the average boxer isn't as rich as you'd think.
Good morning to you, 5 minutes past 9 o'clock. It is Monday, September the 22nd. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me today. We're going to talk Arsenal and Manchester City right now. The only real winners, I suppose, at the Emirates yesterday were Liverpool.
Arsenal 0, Manchester City 1, 9 minutes on the clock, and it's that man again, Erling Haaland.
He was never not going to score, Sam.
When it's transition, we like to do transitions. We can use it, but it's not the way we like to do. But the opponent is sometimes it's good.
Gianluigi Donnarumma is an absolute monster. He is so big, it is frightening.
Today was his third game. I have a feeling that he's been here for a long time.
Sometimes Mikel Arteta is right. Trust the process. The finishers have come on to change the game. Alex Brook. It's Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. What a ball. I think it was Eberici Eze picking out the run of Gabriel Martinelli. His first touch to get away from Guardiola's exquisite. His second to lift the ball over the advancing Donnarumma and into the net is absolutely sensational.
Regardless of the result, I would have said the same thing. I'm extremely proud of the players and the team.
Pep Guardiola took off all his forward players, put 10 men behind the ball, and they still haven't been able to see it out.
Thursday, Sunday, travel to London always is demanding, I would say, and the opponent is really, really good, and the result is fair.
It finishes here. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1.
Yeah, finished all square, point apiece. Liverpool winning again at the weekend, of course. Look, we're going to talk about Arsenal principally in a moment or two, but just before we do, we've already heard Mikel Arteta say he's really proud of his team. Of course, we haven't really touched too much on that Erling Haaland goal, which I thought was absolutely astonishing. His desire, having won the ball, to then get into a position where he could get on the end of Reinder's pass. And his composure then when he got there was incredible.
Well, you just know he's going to score, don't you? He's one of these centre forwards, Jeff. You know, you put him in a situation where he's through with the goalkeeper. Some centre forwards, you go, he might score. You think he'll score. You know, he might miss. 9 times out of 10, you fancy Haaland in front of goal with that, with that finish. Whether it's his wee left foot, side foot down that corner, or he hits it close to David Raya's feet where he can't make the save. But it was a goal. I'll tell you why it was a different goal for City, Jeff. Because City, in normal circumstances, have vast majority of possession of the ball, and generally speaking, 99 times out of 100, they've got to break teams down. On that occasion, Arsenal have got more possession and are open themselves to a counter-attack. And it was an absolutely wonderful exhibition of that. When he wins the ball, continues his run, Arsenal are stretched. They've got nobody in the kind of left-back position. He makes that run to the left-hand side of the left centre-back. I actually think the weight of the pass to him was perfect.
Yeah.
I think Gary might have said in commentary he could have got it earlier. Maybe I'm being a bit unfair there with Gary, but I'm sure somebody said that he eventually got it. But my point was, I think the weight of the pass, the delay of the pass was essential, and the weight of the pass was perfect, as was the finish. Yeah. It was just a beautiful goal.
Look, his drive and desire to get on the end of it. I mean, getting up the pitch, it was like he was competing in a 100 metres final at the Olympics. It was incredible. Yeah. Okay, let's get at the thoughts of a man who played for both clubs. A very good morning to David Seaman. Morning, David.
Morning, David.
Oh, can't go to David at the moment.
We lost him.
Yeah, we appear to have lost him, which is a crying shame. Yeah, well, we'll go back to Haaland in that sense then, because, again, Pep withdrew him after 75 minutes. Now, I heard a TV interview in which Pep said that Haaland said he was exhausted and wanted to come off, which staggered me. And I know he puts a shift in. And I know he'd played it in midweek. But I'll give you the example of Harry Kane. He scored a hat-trick at the weekend. Harry Kane played the full 90 minutes for Bayern.
I know he did.
Have you heard of a centre-forward asking to come off?
No, I haven't. But I'm going to lay off the critical button at the moment because...
Yeah. I'm not really meaning to be critical of him because he was phenomenal while he was on.
He was. And it makes me think he either really must have been shattered or he's maybe got a wee niggle or a wee something. But one of the bigger problems, as you correctly mentioned earlier on, Jeff, it leaves them without an out-and-out centre-forward. Because you look at the bench and they've got nobody. They've got players in position that you can make changes in terms of their personnel, but they've got nobody in their team that can do what he does in attack and in defence. So it does give Pep a problem. And maybe Haaland saying that, he needed to come off because he was absolutely shattered. Maybe that just gives Pep the perfect reason to go 5-5-0 and just attempt to hang on to what he's got.
And I take that. But when I look at that City squad now and the lack of attacking options that Pep had in that situation, even if he wanted to bring on another striker, if he wanted to make a strike of a striker, does that tell us that City haven't got the depth of squad to challenge the title this season?
Not necessarily. The one thing I would say to back up your question there is they've got a serious problem if Haaland gets injured, right? I mean, we always talk about key players, and I think to myself, if Van Dijk got injured for Liverpool, it would be, a real major problem for them. Equally, if City lost Haaland for any period of time, I think that, they say sometimes you say no players are irreplaceable. However, I would suggest that those two are as near irreplaceable as you could probably get or possibly get. So it would set off alarm bells ringing. Looking at them, and that perhaps it's definitely highlighted their weakness in terms of replacing them.
No, there's no question. I mean, Marmoush would have been the obvious one who's injured.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they've got other people on the injured list. Aitner injured and Shirky's injured and so on and so forth. But this is a long season for City. They're in everything. They have a lot of games to play. Look, we've got David Seaman, so let's have a word with him now. Morning, David.
Morning, David.
Morning, David.
Good morning. How are you?
There you go.
We're
well, really good. Thanks,
mate. Very well.
Look, David, let's start straight of all with Mikel Arteta's team selection. Seems to be on all of the back pages today. What did you make of it? Did you feel it was too cautious? Well, this is going to be an impossible conversation, isn't it? We'll try and get David back a bit later in the show.
I'm dying to know the answer to that question. I've got to say to you, because particularly to ask David, a former Arsenal goalkeeper. You know what I mean? I'd really be interested to hear does he think he would see, because he's a good back four, and Zubimendi probably gives him a little bit of protection. I'm thinking from a goalkeeping point of view, you're happier with more defensive mid. I might be totally wrong, but I'm thinking probably we're talking, as I said earlier, Jeff, we're talking about one man in one position, and it's Eze. That's effectively, I think, what we're talking about here.
Yeah. In the end, as we said before, really, Liverpool were the big winners.
Of course.
Having beaten Everton by 2-1. And talking of Everton, Colin, who's an Evertonian, has got a complaint to make. He said, I totally get people need to listen to the whole show so they don't miss the conversation about their particular team. However, why do you always start talking about Everton just as I'm about to drive into the Mersey tunnel? Your timing is impeccable. He also asked questions. Ali, have you been to the new stadium yet? The Hill Dickinson
Do you know
Stadium?
something? I haven't, and I can't wait to go, because they tell me it's out of this world, Jeff.
Yeah, my boy Matt has been there, and he said it is an absolutely unbelievable.
Well, it was Sam that told me. I was talking to Sam Matterface. Sam was at the game at the weekend, a quick blather with him and Charlie Adam, and Sam obviously has been there. He said it's out of this world.
Yeah. Really encouraging signs as far as Everton are concerned, I think, at the moment. Look, we'll try and get David Seaman back. Coming up, we turn our attention to the EFL and what on earth happens next with Blackburn and Ipswich. A very good morning to you. It is 18 minutes past 9, Monday, September the 22nd. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling. Alongside me in Glasgow is Ally McCoist. Now, some terrible news reached at the weekend from the world of women's football, with the former Liverpool manager Matt Beard dying at the age of 47. He led Liverpool to back-to-back WSL titles in 2013 and 14, and returned for a second spell at the club in 2021. Weekend Sports Breakfast host Shabana Hearn paid an emotional tribute to Beard yesterday.
6 years ago, my sister was at a really low point with football, and Matt Beard gave her the opportunity to come and train with her at West Ham, and she came to the club, and he said, we'll put you in the shop window. You know, she'd known him for a long, long time, and he said, I'll do my best to help you. And he gave her a place at West Ham, and then from there, she got a contract at Birmingham, and then she went to Villa. And yesterday, she signed for Crystal Palace. And as soon as she texted me saying, that's me signed, I thought of Matt Beard. I thought of that moment of her upset and reaching out to him and him saying, I'll help you.
Yeah.
And she is not the only one who's been helped by this man. He helped so many people, you know, in women's football. And I think maybe he was the guy who helped everyone, maybe not helping himself, you know.
Joining us now to reflect more on this devastatingly sad news is commentator, broadcaster Jackie Oatley. Morning, Jackie.
Good morning, Jackie. How are you?
Morning, Jeff and Ali. Yes, I'm okay, thank you. It's been a really, really awful couple of days, as you can imagine, for everybody who knew and loved Matt.
Well, that's the thing. For those of who didn't know him, you know, there are a list of his clubs, a list of his successes and things. But it seems to me that all the tributes have been not about his coaching abilities, but about him as a person.
Well, that's exactly right. And I think perhaps a lot of people didn't know him outside of women's football because he wasn't a headline name. His players were better known than he was. He did have these achievements, including back-to-back WSL titles with Liverpool, for example, getting Liverpool promoted should they ever have been relegated, and the fact that against the odds he got them to fourth in the table, when I think people from the outside look at clubs by the name rather than the budgets. And Matt was working at big clubs with small budgets, and Chelsea at the time as well, when he took them to their first FA Cup final. But you're right, the tributes to Matt have not been just about what a fantastic football manager he was. He was that too, but he was so warm, so kind, a real London geezer. He was so warm. And it's incredible how many players knew him that hadn't played under him. So many people are paying tribute when they played against his teams because he still knew them anyway. When I'd speak to him, he just knew every player. He knew everything about them. He knew their personalities. And he spoke with such genuine warmth about people. It really is quite unusual, I'd say. And when somebody passes away, it's always sad. Thoughts are always with the friends and family. We'll always post something like that if they've passed away and they weren't maybe the greatest human, then you focus on the friends and family, of course. But Matt himself was just a lovely person. I first met him when he was an estate agent in Ealing, and he lived around the corner from me. And we got chatting when he showed me around a house, and I was working for the BBC on both men's and women's football back in the day when we didn't have a lot of coverage then. But he was assistant at Charlton when he was to Keith Bonus, when they were reaching FA Cup finals, winning them, League Cup finals and winning them before Charlton got rid of their women's programme. And he learnt a lot there under Keith. And he then carried on being an estate agent. When I moved to Surbiton, he also went to Surbiton. It was just this coincidence, and we'd meet for coffee. And he just knew everything about the women's game. And he deserved to then go on and do great things as he did with Liverpool. And he did so much for Chelsea. And, you know, and he went to America when they were just starting out in their new league there. And he learned so much. He had a really difficult time there in terms of what they were trying to do with the league. It was tough. But he got to know everybody in the game, and everybody got to know him. And it was about his warmth of personality. And there are countless stories of how he's helped people, both on a human level, a personal level, helped them if they're tough on their luck, as Shaban was talking about there, her sister Rusha. He really cared. And that's, I think, why people are struggling now, is that people are thinking, okay, Matt did so much for other people. Did we all do enough for him? Did we realise what was going on in his world. And of course, nobody could know that. And it's just very, very tough to process, particularly for those people who are super close to him.
It's really sad, Jackie. I mean, and it's amazing. I've written down a couple of things. I didn't know Matt. Clearly, I didn't know Matt. But the one thing I've written down is genuine warmth. And you touched on it there, and so did Jeff. When you clearly, you can look up at his record. Very, very, extremely talented coach. And as I say, his record's exceptional. But I'm looking at it. Was one of his main strengths, Jackie, player management and just dealing with people?
Well, do you know what, Ali? Absolutely. And I say sometimes working on podcasts or whatever shows I'm working on, or even in commentary, sometimes I don't think we focus enough on man management, people management. All we look at, and when we talk about where Mourinho's next job's going to be and who is, where he's been, and you look at someone's CV, and when a new manager comes along, you don't know them very well, but you look at their CV, that's what most people go on. But actually, so much, as you well know, involves how managers deal with people, how coaches deal with people. Are they getting the best out of those people? Because they are humans. And yes, of course, tactics matter. Of course they do. Of course, your ideas matter. But ultimately, the job of a football manager is to get the best out of the players you have available, and ideally to add to them. But these days that tends to be somebody else's job. So making a team greater than the sum of its parts, and to do that, if you can get to know the players, what makes them tick, if you genuinely care about those players as much as you can, and those players will run through brick walls for you, as all these players are saying that they would for Matt, then he's doing something right. And I feel really sad, particularly in the last couple of days, thinking how he was overlooked for the England job when Mark Sampson got it and when Phil Neville got it. And Phil, not his fault at all, but hadn't been a manager before. And, Matt had won league titles and what have you. And I think maybe Matt was overlooked on the basis that he could be, by his own admission, quite aggressive on the touchline. But that was purely the fact that he cared. He cared about his players. He cared about winning. And he had everything that it took, really, to be a top football manager. But man management, I really think, is such an underrated commodity. And it's only when we talk to players behind the scenes, and we talk to ex-players, and we talk to coaches, and we talk to journalistic clubs and people who know these people, what they're like as people. And it really does help to inform you as to what they're like as a manager and whether they are getting the best out of those players available. And that's something that Matt was clearly able to do. And the outpouring of grief, of shock, and there'll be plenty more to come once people have managed to come to terms a little bit more with what has happened here, because frankly, it is so shocking, so devastating that it would come to this, that in time, more stories will come out about how he's helped people and how he operated in his working life. And I just think, I'm sorry to say it, but I think maybe football wasn't as kind to Matt as he was kind to football.
Thankfully, he will be in the forefront of our thoughts for many years to come, because a lot of women who are at the forefront of the women's game now owe a lot to Matt over the years. I'm thinking of people like Olivia Smith and Taylor Hines.
Yes, absolutely. So Olivia Smith and Taylor Hines now at Arsenal, but have been with Matt. And you saw the emotion from Farrah Williams, who won trophies with Matt, and people who knew him really well, Natasha Dowie. So many people played under Matt. And I honestly, in where are we now? 2 years of covering women's football. Honestly, I can't think of anybody that said anything bad about Matt in terms of his personality, in terms of him as a football manager. Honestly, I can't think of it. Like lots of other managers, of course, have their plus sides, their downsides, and people will, mouth off here and there. But I can't think of people having a go at Matt. Everyone referred to him as Beardy, the players that had played for him. It was so affectionate. It was just such a case that they respected him, they liked him. Journalists really liked him. I mean, when I used to commentate for Sky on the WSL, and if I was doing a game the next day of his, I'd always message him and say, can I speak to you sometime about the team news for tomorrow? Can you help me out here? And he'd be like, of course you can, darling, I'll speak to you later. And he'd call me back after his dinner the night before. So he'd done all his work. He was clearly pretty drained from his day's preparation. but he'd just have finished his dinner and just be sitting down to switch off. And he'd still call me back with all the team news, and he'd go into great detail about tactics and what the approach would be so that I'd be fully informed for my commentary the next day. He would always do that. He would always have time for that. And that's the kind of thing that people don't see, wouldn't see. Why would they know that? But those are the kind of things that set people apart, perhaps from others, in the way they treat not just their own players who they want to get the best out of, but opposition players, opposition managers, journalists, the people behind the scenes they don't have to be particularly nice to, they don't have to put themselves in their position. And I think that someone like Matt, who would always put themselves in the position of the person he was talking to, in terms of whether it's an opponent player, whether it's an opponent manager, whether it's a journalist, a football commentator like me, he would put himself in my position and think, okay, well, I would want to know what the lineup's going to be, how they're going to play, and how you can be the best in your job tomorrow. How can I help you? And that's what Matt would do. And he would text happy birthday. Little tiny things like that. He would see it was my birthday on Facebook and he would text happy birthday. And how many people does Matt know that he would be doing that to, presumably? Just tiny wee little things like that that just show you he was such a good person. And this is just such devastating news. And it's going to take so long for people to process how it's come to this, what has happened, why. Unfortunately, people are always going to ask what they could have done. We're all going to think, could we have phoned him up and checked he's okay? And it's difficult to say more on that front because that's not for me to go into. But all I would say is that Matt was just a genuinely wonderful, warm human, and those tributes are real and they're not going to stop anytime soon. And I'm hoping that in time, we'll be able to get together and really celebrate the life of Matt, the person that he was, and maybe I'm sure there'll be some kind of tribute, a testimony or something for his family. But for now, I think we're thinking of Debbie, his wife, and his gorgeous kids, Harry. He had Harry the same time as I had my first daughter, Phoebe, when he was at Chelsea, and I popped down to see him there, and he just adored his... I mean, it sounds obvious. Oh, somebody's died and they love their kids. Yeah, but he absolutely lived for those kids, and Ellie as well, and Scott, his stepson, and his family really was everything. And he just had the heart of gold, absolute heart of gold. And he's going to be missed in football so much. And he did so much for women's football. Don't forget, at a time when I first met him, when women's football used to be laughed at, it used to be laughed at on national television. And we all know that. It was laughed at behind the scenes because women hadn't had the opportunity to play. They were not professional. They weren't even semi-professional. They were working 4 shifts and training a couple of late nights a week and playing on a weekend. And he was there then, and he was giving absolutely everything. And he believed in these girls, and he believed in the game, in the future of the game. He knew what it could become if these women and girls were given the opportunities to play and if they were given appropriate coaching. And he was part of that journey right from the start. And what we see now, with England women winning the Euros back-to-back, by the way, reaching the World Cup final. And this is really the start of the journey. There's so much more to come. Matt Beard has played such an enormous part in that journey, and we in women's football, and hopefully beyond, will not forget his contribution. We will not forget him because he was a wonderful human being.
Jackie, thank you so much.
Lovely tribute, Jackie.
Thanks, guys.
Commentator and broadcaster Jackie Oatley. Craig has texted, I knew Matt when he was 18. He was the kindest soul. We had a blast as friends. He helped me through a tough time 20 years ago when my boys lost their mum. Totally unconnected to football. So we lost touch in recent years, but this news has completely floored me. The world has lost a true, kind man. For more tributes to Matt Beard, head over to talksport.com. This is TalkSport Breakfast with Jeff Stelling and Ally McCoist.
Football fans all have stadiums we love. But do any of us have a pitch we love? It might sound like an odd question, but pitches can be different sizes with big consequences. Why is that? And what are the actual rules behind it? Back when association football started, pitches could be 100 metres wide and 200 metres long. That's longer than Ellen Road. Not the pitch, the stadium. Anyway, UEFA wanted a standard across Europe which became 105 metres long and 68 metres wide. But some clubs had been rebels, not intentionally but because of the stadiums. Take Highbury for example. It was 5 metres shorter and a metre narrower, meaning away sides had a challenge just to adjust. Today, Forest Pitch at the City Ground is a big one, 2 metres wider than others. But the smallest of all? Craven Cottage, just 100 metres long and 65 metres wide. There are a couple of crazy outliers in Europe too, such as Napoli's home ground, the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, where the pitch is a whopping 110 metres long. So UEFA have their standards, so do the FA, but they give pitches in England some wiggle room. Pitches can be anywhere between 90 and 120 metres long, between 45 and 90 metres wide. Just imagine a pitch that's 120 metres long and 45 wide. Madness. So there you have it. There is a standard size and most teams do generally follow it. But as we all know, size doesn't matter, does it?
Good morning, 9:37. This is talkSPORT Breakfast. I'm Jeff Stelling Ally McCoist is with me. Thanks to Arnold Clark Charge, we've got some electrifying cash prizes up for grabs on talkSPORT in our EV Lover competition, along with fully charged amounts of cash to give away. I didn't write this, by the way. We've also got 3 places up for grabs to take part in our grand final in Glasgow next month, where one lucky winner will get their hands on a fantastic new MGS5 electric car. So get involved. Simply head to talksport.com/win and get your entry in now. That's all thanks to Arnold Clark Charge, ultra-rapid EV charging at an ultra-low price. Find out more at arnoldclark.com. Now, away from the Premier League, it was another massive weekend in the EFL, so it's time for a bit of this.
How can you not love the EFL when it throws up moments like this?
Here's Hawk! Oh, it's come back to Zamora!
Kick off again! City fans can't believe it. What a match!
Windass! Quite simply destined to be from Team Windass.
We're in London. Hey, we're in London, aren't we?
Leeds can beat you 4-1. They're a fantastic team. But we had someone in the bushes that day twice this season now.
No sirve para nada.
I didn't know I would have such a reaction.
That ghost didn't head one in on Saturday. We didn't defend properly, you great chicken nuggets.
We hear that Jimmy Glass, the goalkeeper, has scored for Haaland.
You just never know which twist any game is going to turn next.
Must I forever be a better...
Yeah, time to have a brief look at the EFL. We're going to start in the Championship. And here's a conundrum, Coisty.
Yep.
What happens to Blackburn Ipswich? Abandoned with 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Blackburn 1-0 up. Ipswich down to 10 men. Ipswich with 4 players on a yellow card. Do they replay it? Does the result stand? Do they replay the last 10 minutes? And if they did, would Ipswich have to play those last 10 minutes with 10 men? Would the yellow cards still stand? It's impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, that is impossible. So you've got to attempt to make the best of what is a nearly impossible situation. I watched the highlights. I saw Todd Campbell's penalty. I saw the sending off. Was it Greaves that get the red card, get caught the wrong side of the forward, and then I think Furlong gives away the penalty. That aside, mate, my opinion, I think you've got to replay the match. I mean, it's a real crying shame. Obviously for Blackburn, but what else can you do, Jeff? I mean, you can't play the last 10 minutes and say you're only getting 10 men, because no matter what happens, Jeff, circumstances will change.
Yeah,
you won't get the same players. There'll be players injured. There'll be other players suspended. it's not ideal, but I just think you've got to play the match again.
No, I agree. I mean, it's really unfortunate if you're Blackburn, but you're right. You play the last 10 minutes. You can't insist that the same 10 Ipswich players would come out and the same 11 Blackburn players would come out. I've got Rob from Ipswich who says his wife and him, along with 4,000 other Ipswich fans, did the 550-mile round trip from Ipswich to Blackburn. He says, unlucky for the hosts, it was abandoned. Town were well in the game, even though they were 1-0 down and down to 10. In my opinion, the sending off and the penalty were both down to the waterlogged pitch, and the host should have a pitch able to cope, which is a bit harsh. We saw the Manchester United pitch barely able to cope, in truth.
Jeff, let me tell you something. I don't think I've ever seen rain like that in a long, long time.
Yeah.
And that was after we were driving up the road from Liverpool, and the rain was absolutely torrential.
That was biblical. Yeah.
Oh, it was incredible, mate. So I don't really necessarily agree with that point.
No, I mean, but Rob, I think we do agree. Rob goes on to say, sorry, but there has to be a full replay.
Yes, that's what I'm.
Even though common justice says that the Blackburn should have some sort of advantage, it's just one of those unfortunate things, I think. There's not much else you can do about it. Big weekend elsewhere. Middlesbrough.
Brilliant result,
West Brom. Yeah, I thought West Brom were disappointing, I've got to be honest with you, because they just didn't have any sort of cutting edge whatsoever. It's a great weekend for Borough because Stoke were beaten against Queen's Park Rangers. Yeah, so the gap at the top is 4 points. Goodness me, could be 3 North East teams in the Premier League next season, even though it's early days.
Yeah, that'd be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Oh, what? And by the way, the Borough fans on Friday night got behind their side. I haven't heard for a long time. They're pretty passionate about things there now. No dream start for Chris Wilder. Sheffield United lost at home to Charlton's last minute winner. Yeah. But some big wins for Sheffield Wednesday and Wrexham and Hull. And we mentioned earlier on in League One, Bradford. A big Cardiff 3-1.
It's a great result.
Yeah, it was fantastic. They go top of the table. Cardiff were previously unbeaten as well. League 2, Cheltenham have sacked their manager Mike Flynn after a 3-0 home defeat by Oldham. They are 1 point off safety, but Oldham, the away side, did have 17 attempts on goal. And Shrewsbury are bottom of that table, by the way, relegated last season from League One, a second from bottom, I beg your pardon, relegated last season from League One. They lost at Harrogate, and they could be facing the prospect of back-to-back relegation. So again, it's early days yet, and they're just a point or so behind. Just want to mention in the National League, Morecambe Coisty.
Was it?
Yeah, we are so glad they survived. 4-4 draw last week.
Yep.
This week, 3-0 up at home to Wealdstone. Got pegged back to 3-3. And then scored an 86th-minute winner.
So brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The old Robbie Savage machines continuing to roll on, though, isn't it? Eh?
Oh, Robbie is, yeah, absolutely. And he makes a point, if you ever listen to 606 on 5 Live, he makes a point constantly of mentioning he is manager at the top of the table side. And I'm sure he puts people's hackles up. There's a great picture of him, though, this week with taking a young boy out of the crowd to join in the celebrations, which was absolutely fantastic. Look, he's doing a great job. You
better believe he is.
He's doing a great job. So, terrific stuff. And that was a brief look back at the EFL. We're not going to
lost over Hartlepool. I've got to say.
We're not going to mention that.
Okay, Jeff. Fair enough.
Actually, we lost 1-0. We lost 1-0 at Aldershot. Tommy Widrington, the Aldershot manager, got sent off late in the affair. Apparently he punched a ball, but the referee, the ball had come out of play, and he's frustrated by then because we're having the better of things at that stage. But he punched the ball, but apparently because he punched the ball in the direction of the fourth official, he was sent off. That was absolutely bonkers. I love Tommy. He shows his passion, and he really is a passionate man. But no joy for us. Aldershot winning by 1-0. Coming up, we'll hear from Unai Emery. Is he right to call his players lazy? That's next. Good morning. Couple of texts read that Blackburn-Ipswich game. And by the way, we always love the number of texts that we get, so please do keep them coming, not just today, but every day. This one hasn't got a name on, but it's a West Ham fan. Why not replay the Blackburn-Ipswich game with the goal still standing so it starts 1-0 to Blackburn, which is a really interesting idea. It's not going to happen, but it's a really interesting idea. And Joe's a Blackburn fan, says, hurts to say this, so I can't see anything other than the full game being replayed, which seems crazy considering the already ridiculously busy schedule. But Ipswich could easily have bagged an equaliser with the 10 to 15 minutes left, which I guess is what the EFL stance will be. Shame, he says, because you know exactly what will happen in the replayed game. Don't be so pessimistic, Joe.
Irony.
Yeah, I love it. And now what's going on at Villa Park? Aston Villa so far yet to win in the league. They've only scored the one goal so far. That came in a draw with 10-man Sunderland yesterday. And having yet to play any of the so-called Big Six, it's fair to say that Unai Emery has some issues to sort out. Emery spoke after the draw with Sunderland and admitted having lost their identity.
We were not playing with our style. We lost a little bit our identity. And how we want to build a team, how we want to create a structure strong, tactically, individually, feeling confidence. And we were winning 1-0. We were dominating a little more, but we were conceding a lot of them. Long ball, second action, throw-in, corners. They had as well chances. And when they score and they draw, of course, it was the same for me because the result is one way. Of course, it's very important to try to achieve points, and we are under our expectation. But if we are not improving as a team how we want to play, it's getting more difficult. And today, it was again something I am not feeling good. I'm not feeling comfortable. I'm not feeling confidence.
Look, they had a glorious chance at the end. I'm not sure how Ollie Watkins doesn't get his head on the ball that goes in, but I think it would have been a bit unjust if they'd taken maximum points.
I agree with you. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking myself, does he see it late? Does it take a little bit of a deflection off his centre-back? I'm really surprised that he didn't get a contact on it, but I do take your point.
I mean, we all know about the issues, Ali, with PSR and the fact that they've been forced to sell certain players, not bring in necessarily the same quality of players. But do you see what Unai's getting at when he talks about being lazy? Because you could see, well, it is, but you could see one side, seemingly, outwardly at least, giving so much more yesterday than the other team.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's you think as a football fan going to a game, you think that's a given. You know, the one thing you expect from your team is 100% commitment and a desire to go and win and run about. That's the first thing you expect. I think it's a terrible thing if you're a footballer to get that criticism levelled at you, getting called lazy. You know, you can have all form, you can have a bad day, but getting called lazy is, you know, I don't think it's a great thing at all. You'd far rather his use of words would have been, you know, we need to work harder. You know, we get outworked by the opposition. There's other ways you can do it. There's other ways you can butter it up if you like. I don't know whether Unai Emery's English, and I'm probably being unfair because his English is very, very good, but I don't know whether he would rather have used those words given the opportunity again, because it's quite an indictment against his team. But it's the first time I've kind of seen him or listened to him, and he sounded certainly not at the end of his tether, but he looked and sounded extremely frustrated, I think, with everything that's going on around him. But I'll get back to the point again, Jeff, they don't look anything like the side they had. I mean, even with Rashford and Asensio and boys like that last year, obviously mentioned Ramsey, they've lost an awful lot of quality. And I'm looking at the players they brought in, and I don't think they've replaced it with the same quality. And that would naturally tell you that you're going to certainly not have the same quality of season that you had the previous year.
Have they got to be careful, Ali, with Unai Emery, because he is a top manager. If he decided to walk away, then he'd have no shortage of offers, would he?
No, none at all. But to balance it, the welfare of the club is by far and away the most important thing, Jeff. You know, and we talk about the PSR rules and all that stuff, which you have to abide by. So if their hands are tied and they have to do what they're doing, then it's a price I think that you must pay and have to pay. It clearly won't please any of the Villa fans or indeed the management of the players. But if needs must, then needs must. But you're right, Villa do not want to lose Unai Emery. I mean, he's been absolutely different class, hasn't he? Let's be honest about it. Yeah. He's been terrific.
He has been. Here's an interesting point. It's an anonymous text, but I'm going to read it nevertheless. Emery lost the dressing room when he prioritised his loan signings over his starters in the Champions League. Obviously, Ollie Watkins is the example of that. Now his loan signings have gone, and the same players he wronged haven't forgotten. Could there be any element of truth in that?
I'm not sure the same players he wronged. I'm not sure that's the description I would use. The same players he's maybe left out in place of others, right? I wouldn't say that he's wronged them. I would say he's making a managerial decision to play a certain team with certain players that he thinks will win the game. That is part and parcel of football, and it's been happening for 100 years that players are not happy and occasionally throw the toys at the pram when they don't start games and don't play games. I think the bigger factor is there's a slight disappointment, is probably the best word to use, within the playing staff themselves over what's had to happen, I think.
Couple of quick responses to the Blackburn-Ipswich game. Carl in Derby says, read the Blackburn-Ipswich game. Why don't the football authorities have a kind of cricket-style Duckworth-Lewis system for these kind of events for determining who gets the points, etc.? On the match itself, I see lots of predictions made by supercomputers based on running games statistically thousands of times. Couldn't one of these supercomputers take the known facts and come up with the outcome? Thanks, Carl. I'm not really sure I'm going for that.
I've spent about the last 10 years trying to work out that Duckworth-Lewis, how it works, how it operates. So please keep it away from football or anything similar to it.
Joe, the Leicester fan, says, with regards to the Ipswich game, couldn't they make the return fixture a double header? Winner takes 6 points. Just an idea. Yeah, but Ipswich would have home advantage then, Joe, so I don't think that's working. Finchy says, here we go. Finchy says, 100% Blackburn should receive all 3 points over Ipswich. I'm a Norwich fan.
Very good.
I think there's definitely going to be one outcome, and that game is going to reap.
I can't see anything other than that, Jeff. I cannot see anything.
Yeah, I mean, desperately disappointed as far as Blackburn Rovers
are
concerned. It's much needed as far as Ipswich are concerned, by the way, because none of the relegated sides have made the start that they would have wished in the Championship. Look at that Southampton result of the weekend at Hull, beaten by 3-1. Brilliant, Coist. You absolutely loved it. So you're heading down south?
Loved it, mate.
Heading towards London?
Morning. I'm heading towards the airport later on in the afternoon. I'll look forward to seeing you in the studio tomorrow, mate.
Oh, good luck with that, mate. We know what your travels have been like in recent times.
Not wrong. Fingers crossed.
Lovely. I'll see you tomorrow, Coisty. Ali back alongside me tomorrow morning from 6, so don't miss that. Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy are next.